your kids, the closer you'll be. So we asked kids, what do you want your parents to hear?
I feel sometimes that I'm not listened to. I would just want you to listen to me more often and evaluate situations with me and lead me towards success.
We're not adults, so just be there and listen. I just want someone to yap to. And I just feel like I'll be fine if someone just hears me talk.
You're doing a really good job. And I don't think I tell you that enough. And I know sometimes we get into it and it's just hard on both of us. But try to understand me more and I'll try to do the same.
Listening is a form of love. Find resources to help you support your kids and their emotional well-being at sounditouttogether.org. That's sounditouttogether.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Pivotal.
Welcome to the Car and Truck Doctor Show, brought to you by Bumper to Bumper and your local Bumper to Bumper certified service centers.
Maybe you could drive my car. Yes, I'm gonna be a star. Maybe you could drive my car, and maybe I'll love you. Beep, beep, beep, beep, yeah.
All right, we're here.
Morning, Dave.
Good morning, Doc. How are you today?
Just fine. So I was coughing from this yellow stuff all over everywhere.
Yeah.
Kenneth, how are you doing this morning?
Fine, sir.
Hey, I was talking to Dave. I had a car come in this week, and the people were complaining about said, hey, last week we was running the air conditioner and it ain't blowing no air out the vents. So checked it. Everything was switching like it's supposed to. Pulled the cabin air filter out of it, and it had sucked it all the way through into the condenser. Into the evaporator core.
Really?
Yeah. I said, have you ever put one in it? No, nobody ever told me it needed one.
Yeah.
I thought, well.
So I got one they're dropping off this morning. We've done a few of the condensers on the Chevrolets.
Yep.
So far, it's getting that time.
Yep. Yesterday we put on, I got a Chevrolet, a 01, 02 model Chevrolet come in, evaporator core leaking on it. So tore it apart and did all that. And the guy said, well, you got it. Go ahead and put a compressor and a dryer and everything on it, so I don't have to worry about it for summer. And then it wasn't no more than got through with that. And the guy pulled up in a Ford truck and said, hey, my AC is not working.
Yeah. And you're going to get a lot more of that come Friday when it's 90 degrees.
Yes, sir.
And how Ford is about the compressor, about the clutch coming apart on it.
Yeah, the bolt will come out of the end of it.
That's what happened to that one.
It'll sling it.
And so I put a compressor and an orifice tube and, dryer and everything on it and flushed everything. But then Blake told me this, before I left last night, he said, I got 2 more coming in, air conditioners not working today.
The bottom line today, or it's Friday, tomorrow.
And Saturday.
It's going to be the last day that you can get away with not going in to get your air conditioner serviced and not have to sit in line. We're still big jobs. I'm still probably 2.5, 3 weeks out. The smaller jobs we're running them on through. Probably you too, ain't it, Kenneth?
Yeah, we got two jobs, big jobs, head gasket jobs, tore down right now. We just finished a 5.0 Coyote engine in a truck, had a broke valve spring on number 8.
Have you seen that very often?
That's the second one I've seen.
I was thinking to say, we've done 2 of them with, broke valve springs on it. And
it'll knock 3 cylinders out.
Yeah, I ain't figured it. I ain't understood how it can kill 3 cylinders, but it does.
I don't know either, but if you run compression on them, one of them's going to be off, and it will affect the other 2.
I don't know if
4 valves per cylinder, and it was an exhaust valve spring that was broke.
Well, the 2 we had was intake valves.
Wow.
See, that's what I don't. But it did. The guy he had it somewhere else, and they put all new plugs, coils, injectors, all kind of stuff on it. And the first thing I asked, I said, well, did y'all check compression?
What's that?
No. And so I checked compression on it, and sure enough, number 8, it was way off. And I pulled the cover, and sure enough, the valve spring was broke.
I got 2 Chevrolets, both of them need camshaft and lifters in it.
Oh, put a motor in it.
Both of them need camshaft. One of them's got 60,000 miles on it.
Hey, if they got over 100-something thousand miles, I'd push them towards a motor.
I got
That way you can give them a better warranty.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about diesels here.
No,
right?
no, it's gas burners.
Oh, is it?
It's gas burner.
these
Yeah.
One of them's a 6.0 and the
Easy.
other's a 6.2. But both of them got camshaft problems. And I got
What year's the 6.2? It may be a recall motor.
I went back and pulled it up. I can't find nothing on it. I even called my buddy over at Everett and
Yeah.
give him the VIN number, and he run it. He said, as far as I can tell, there ain't nothing. He's got 61,000 miles on it, just barely out of the warranty.
Barely out of warranty.
Yeah, and my buddy over at Everett is trying to get him some help with it.
Yeah,
But I told him it's going to be a couple of weeks before I can even tear it apart, start looking at it.
That's a 60,000 mile warranty on it, right?
Yep, he got a
So
little
he's got
61,000.
61.
Yep.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll help him.
That's how my
That's
transmission was on that on the Charger that had 100,001. I
Yeah.
guarantee you not on that transmission, that drivetrain. I was so mad.
My wrecker buddy's got a Dodge wrecker, and transmission. I've got the Ison transmission in it. Can't find one. Dodge don't have one. None of the
Really
rebuilds.
don't have no trouble out of them Allisons that I know of.
Well, this ain't Allison. This is the Ason.
Oh, Ason. I'm sorry.
It's Ason, and
Not
Dodge-
to be confused with Allison.
yeah, Dodge don't have one.
Yeah, Allison's pretty good.
I called Gary Henry over at Midstate, and he said, I really don't want to build it because he said they're so hard to make them hold together. And this thing done had one transmission put in it, and it's a wrecker, so it's got a lot of
Wrecker, so it's used. Yeah,
it's
it's
used quite a bit. And Gary said, he said, if you can't find one, I will build it, but I don't really want to. So I got Jasper's looking for me one right at the moment, and they say they got some coming off the lines, but it's probably going to be 2 weeks before they can get one built and get sent to me.
I need a rear diff for a 21 model Yukon. They're on back order now till the end of April.
Really?
They make that moaning noise when you turn left and right.
Yep.
They say service them 3 times, do figure eights, put 500 miles on it each service. If that don't take care of it, then replace the diff.
Yep. Yeah, and
Hey, but the new GM one comes with fluid, everything already in it. You just bolt it in and go.
That's good.
Yeah, it's about $2,500, but takes about 4.5, 5 hours to put it in.
I was going to say about 5 hours time you shuck it apart and put it back together and go road test it and everything.
But after you've done one or two of them, you can get faster on it.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you got a lift and a transmission jack. It ain't squat and another pair of hands.
Yep.
Yeah, I went over to Joe's last week and had the battery exchanged out of it. It went dead, had to tow it over to Joe's garage, have that taken care of. And on the way home, driving home, it overheated. Had it
Towed
picked
back.
up and towed back to Joe's, and a heater hose had gone bad in it.
I got a little Nissan it's all metal except right where it goes onto the heater core. It's got a plastic joint,
And that broke.
and this broke on this Nissan. And I got one ordered. I went to Nissan. Nissan said they're obsolete with them, so I got Billy down at the Pro Burlingame. She ordered me one through.
Hey, the replacement one's probably aluminum or metal.
It had this all aluminum. Got a piece of rubber hose on it instead of that plastic.
I've changed them out before. That's where they always leak.
Yep.
They run across the back of the motor.
Yep, right across the back of the motor over to the heater core.
Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
let me ask this question. If you can't find it through Nissan, can you find it through the Datsun special website?
I got this one through. What's the name of the aftermarket that does a lot of
Dorman.
Dorman.
Probably Dorman.
Yeah, I got this one through Dorman, or Billy ordered it for me through Dorman.
Yeah, a lot of times Dorman will offer that kind of stuff, and it'll be an upgrade.
Yeah, that's kind of like the Jeeps with the V6s in them. The oil filter housing always
the oil
leaks on.
cooler filter housing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of plastic, it'll be aluminum.
Yeah, it come with aluminum, and that stops all that problem. And I had a
Yes,
customer raise Cain, why did you put aluminum on it and it had a plastic one on it? I said, well, this
I
one
don't
is.
want to do it again at 60,000 miles.
That's what I told him. I said, this one is this cost. If I buy the one from Dodge, it's this cost. plus them 40, 50,000 miles, you're going to put another one on it. Then you're going to be dropping at me then because it's leaking again.
Yeah, it doesn't. Why
Yep.
didn't you do it better?
Yep.
Make it last longer.
Then he said, well, why don't Dodge put a aluminum one on it? I said, think about how much money they saved.
Yeah.
They buy
As long as it
thousands of
makes
them.
it out of warranty.
Yep.
I
And
was just
most,
telling my son what you said was it last week or the week before about the ball joints, how they don't put the little nipple on there
Mhm.
because it
Oh,
saves them
appreciate it.
so much a
Yeah.
joint at the factory.
yeah, it saves them, 10 or 12, 15 cents. But
I was
think-
just talking about that last night.
you
I was
know-
like, well, that explains it.
Yep. But and I told the customer, I said, think about how much money they've saved on them oil coaters.
They made 10, 15,000 automobiles.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
Multiply that by
About 10 or
15.
Or 10 or 12 or $15, they saved. And, but people don't understand that. People, they look at you like, well, if you can buy one, why didn't they buy one? Well,
Right?
Well,
But
like
they
I
want you
say,
to do it.
They build them to sell, not to last.
hey,
That's
when you have to work
exactly
on
right.
it, they want you to buy a new one.
Let me
Yeah.
put this in. Don't think that those new tires on that new car that you bought are going to last like they should, because
not.
they won't.
No,
Probably get about 30,000
That's
out
what
of
I'm
them.
saying. About
I got-
30,000.
I
new
just put a
tires.
set on my
Cheapest
truck
tires they can put on them. Huh?
a couple of weeks ago, and I got had about 41,000 on them, and they still had a little tread left on them, but we're
You
fixing to
couldn't
start
see the air
traveling.
in them yet.
No, you couldn't see the air in, but I had one in the other day. I put some lower A-frames in a Dodge Caravan, and you could see the air and see what color it was.
Hey, you change out a lot of them F-250 Ford cab mounts, body
Oh,
mounts.
I keep 2 sets in stock.
I got a guy.
That tells me a lot.
I got a guy. He come in here yesterday, and he said, man, this thing is making a heck of a noise, like a banging. And I done put all kind of shocks, this, that, and the
Mhm.
other. And I said, well, the cab mounts are bad. And he said, what are cab mounts? Put it up on the 4-post, and I showed him.
Yep.
And then he wanted to know how much it was, and I said, well, I just have to do it by the hour on that, because sometimes the bolts come out, sometimes they don't, sometimes they break, sometimes the nut spins in the body.
Yep.
I mean, it depends if I got to get a cutting torch out or what. So I just charge by the hour plus the parts.
That's the way we do.
It depends if you bring it in on a Monday or not.
Yeah. I keep 2 of those neoprene. I've got a red one and I got a blue one, which they're the same rubber. They just different colors, but I keep 2 in stock all the time, because anytime we pull a cab off, it gets new mounts in it.
Oh, yeah, I imagine when y'all doing diesel wear, you got to pull the cab. Yeah, you
Yeah.
better go and put one in while you're there.
And
But this guy, he just couldn't believe. He said, how you know? And I said, man, I done seen it too many times.
my little brother's got a Ford work truck, and we was up at Hardy last fall, up at the cabin, and we went up to the lumber yard to get some 2x4s in it. We took off, and we got about 600-700 feet of gravel road we go down before we get on asphalt. As soon as we turned out on the road out of the driveway, I said, man, this thing need cab bushings in it. He said, is that what all this noise is? And he'd done been working on the front end. He'd put ball joints in it and shocks
That's the
on
thing.
it.
When you can't find it, it's irritating. You're like, and you finally go to an expert, and you're like, dadgummit.
Yeah.
You spend all that money on it.
And he
Hell,
said,
they'll cause that death wobble too.
oh,
Ooh.
I had one. I had it was a 17 F-250 Ford diesel 4-wheel drive. This guy had done put everything on the front end. I mean, everything. 2 different steering stabilizer shocks, even doubled it. And he come to the shop. He said, man, this thing will scare you going down the road. And Blake got in it. Me and him got in, took off down the road. And he wasn't lying. It scared the far out of me. And it usually don't scare me because
What
I
was it?
death wobble.
Yeah, no, but what was causing it?
Cab bushings was bad.
Was that what?
Didn't have no cab bushings.
Man,
They
I
was
got in a
gone.
Jeep one time like that, and
Oh, they're terrible.
Oh,
it
yeah.
was, and I was going down the road, and it was everything's great, and then all of a sudden, it started doing that. I was like, okay, you can have this thing back. We got it from an auction to sell, and I was like, nope, not driving this thing no more.
Yep.
I guess that's what happened to them. They couldn't figure out what that wobble was.
Yeah, you can fix them. It just takes a few minutes, but that Ford truck, I have never seen one that bad. And I was talking to Joe about it, and Joe said, "Did you rotate the tires?" I said, "I done moved the front to the back, and that helped it, but the cab bushing, there was nothing left of the bottom or the top."
I don't think people understand when you say death wobble, if they haven't experienced it, they don't get it. But that's
They'll
scary.
know it when they get it.
Yeah, that's
you ain't
scary.
kidding.
Scary stuff.
It'll make you bite holes in the seat.
Yeah, buddy. With your fingernails too
Mhm.
in the steering wheel.
Yep. So you've been doing very much down there, Ken?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we got plenty to do, plenty more coming. And
Yeah.
I think I told my secretary, I said, listen, don't schedule me more than 2 more cars a day. You know.
Well,
'Cause I
people are getting their income tax money back, and they're getting more than
Yeah.
they've ever gotten.
Yeah.
I've
I
had
got a
some people
customer-
come in and tell me they ain't got theirs back yet. You know, they're waiting on
Well,
it.
they've hit down here because I got somebody drug a 95 Camaro out of the weeds, it looks like, and brung it up here. And they tried to put a starter on it, and it lasted about 2 days, and a bolt fell out, and one bolt broke.
Mm.
And so they towed it up here, and we got it out. And
Didn't
got
break the ear off of
got
it?
it running. No, it got lucky. It didn't. And
I bet that's
got it cranked, got it running.
But
and
it's
now
a
they
beast,
want
though.
it's something.
I love the old cars.
Now they want us to fix the power seats, fix the power windows.
Yeah,
Oh,
somebody got
Lord
that
have
tax
mercy.
money and don't want to go buy another car and fix it
I
that
don't
up.
blame them. I don't.
No.
I don't either.
Not at the price of cars
No.
now. I mean, the
It
price.
definitely needs washed and cleaned up because the inside looks like it's got about 10 inches of pollen laying on it.
Oh my
You
goodness.
know, I can tell people that if you go out and look for a new car, just know this, that the car you have is probably a better investment to keep than to spend $90,000 on a brand new automobile.
Yep.
We had one not long ago. Guy was contemplating about putting a motor in it, and it was a 5.3 Chevrolet. And he said, "What do you
He was
think?"
on the fence.
Yeah, he was standing up on top of the fence, and he kept saying, "What do you think?" I said, "Well, man, look, this is how much a new one costs. This is how much the payment's going to be every month. You can spend this amount of money to put a motor in this one. You know everything else is okay because you done told me." And I said, "But if you do put this motor in there, you're going to have to drive it 2 or 3 years before you can do anything with
That's
it."
right.
And he said, "Yeah, that's what I'm on the fence about. I don't know if I want to do this or not." So he
Yeah.
finally called back and he said, "Put the motor in it."
If you're
Yeah.
watching this on the stream, this is what the guy looked like.
Mhm. Basically what it looked like. But he finally called back and he said, "Hey, go ahead and put the motor in it." So we put a Jasper motor in it, and I patted him
Well,
on
the
the
thing
back.
about
sent him
it
down
is
the
that
road.
Jasper engine will be better than if he went and bought one of these new ones.
Yeah, because I was over at Everett here back in last summer, and I know the guy over real good. And he said, "Walk back here in the back and tell me what you think's wrong with this 6.2 motor." We walked back there and I looked at it and I said, "The piston's in upside down."
Oh.
I said, "Who turned the pistons around?" He said, "It's got 1,000 miles on it.
Oh Lord.
They're from the factory in upside down.
Oh my gosh.
The valve relief is at the top instead of at the bottom on the piston,
What?
and they're marked. I mean, and it wasn't just one, Kenneth. It was all 8 of them."
But see, you don't
Well, he was
understand.
consistent.
You guys don't understand. That party the night before was really good.
Or maybe they're dyslexic.
Now I think it was made on a Thursday morning after them partied all night on Wednesday.
Yeah, I'm saying.
But a lot of them,
They
the
stayed
robot
up
does
late
it.
at church that
Yeah.
night.
A lot of them, the robot does it. So, you know,
We got to get a break in. Let's do that. Dewdrop is here. Ken's with us, and we're waiting for Ken Sullivan to join up with us here on the Dave Elswick Show. We'll have him
Hey,
in a
cut
few
him some
moments.
slack. He's old.
I
Hey, I am too.
I don't get to use that excuse now because I'm right there with them. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk more about cars. The car and truck doctors are here. They got their lab coats on. They got their stethoscope, and they're ready to help you. If you give us a call, we can talk to you on the air, 501-401-1011. That's the number to call here on the Dave Elswick Show.
Out on the latest news. Operation Epic Fury is here, and we're giving you the inside information. Make sure you're listening for all the details on Operation Epic Fury, right here on 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk. Did you hear Congressman Bruce Westerman on the Dave Elswick Show?
The threat that obviously is posed by Iran, especially if they get missiles that will shoot longer. I've been over in the area and I've visited bases where we have missile defense systems that we put there to protect Europe from Iran. I think the Russians think we put it there to protect or to shoot down Russian missiles, but they're really there to shoot down missiles from Iran. And I don't know if it's because of the large Islamic influence and Muslim integration into Europe that would keep them from getting involved, or what their issue is. I don't think they're safe from the Iranian regime, and it doesn't make sense to me why they wouldn't want to get involved. Now, if you look at the kind of the philosophy of the Iranian military forces, they build stuff to one goal, and that's to kill people that don't believe the way they do.
Don't miss Congressman Westerman, Wednesday mornings at 7:30 on the Dave Elswick Show, 101.1. The Answer.
As veterans, we're no strangers to helping others.
It's what we were taught, trained, and told to do.
It could be for anything. Helping a friend move.
Listening to a fellow veteran for hours, at any hour of the day.
Or just simply making time for people. A neighbor, a loved one, or even a stranger.
We're often the first to help others. There's no question about it.
But we do have one question for the veterans listening.
When was the last time you reached out for help?
Perhaps it's time to do for yourself what you would do for others.
If you or someone you know needs resources, whether it's for stress, finances, employment, or mental health, don't wait. Reach out.
Find more information at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
America is at a tipping point. To ensure we stay the land of the free and home of the brave, you need to be informed and engaged. That's why we're here. 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk. The Car and Truck Doctor Show is back. Sponsored by Bumper to Bumper Auto Parts and these dealers: Sullivan's Automotive in Little Rock, Carter Radiator Service in Little Rock, and Walker Auto Repair in Jacksonville. Now, here's Dave Elswick on 101.1 The Answer.
I'm going to tell you what, we have got bumper to bumper certified service centers everywhere now.
Yeah. So, Kenneth, we had the car show meeting Tuesday night.
Tuesday night, yes, sir.
So we've come up with a deal. We're going to have the best of show for car and the best of show for pickup this year. Each one's going to get a trophy and $1,000 gift cards.
Ooh, a little money on the line.
So I've had some people last year complain about the last 3 years pickups won it, and so me and Joe come up with that ideal, and so anyway, I think it'll work out a whole lot better.
Yeah, I used to build the models, the models they made of cars and stuff, and I did a couple of pickups. And when I got to the interior, before I put the bench seat in, I had ordered. Well, I went over to Pint Size, which was a hobby shop that I used to frequent up in northern Indiana, and I got that sprinkle stuff that you coated the seat with glue, and then you took and put this stuff on that made it look like you had velvet seats in the front. And
we never had none of that kind of.
Except when the stuff that I did did not look like the picture when I done. I felt like I felt like I had worked at McDonald's, and you see that picture of that quarter pounder, and then you get it,
and you go, oh no. But the car show is going to be on May the 2nd. This year, the same weekend as Tow Suck. Kenneth always gives T-shirts away. He's always got boxes of T-shirts, but we always got stuff to give away to people. We're going to sell raffle tickets again this year for 2 garden lawnmower and equipment stuff. It's worth about $1,000 a piece. So we're going to sell raffle tickets. All the money goes to Ronald McDonald House. We raised the entry fee up this year to $25 so we can raise a little more money for Ronald McDonald House, because the entry fee, all that money goes straight to Ronald McDonald House. We don't take nothing out of it.
And they needed money all the time.
They
I
do.
mean, they do, because they've got new people coming in all the time.
They
And
do. They was full Tuesday night when we got over. They was telling us that it was full. All the rooms was took up.
You know, the McDonald House fixes meals. They do your clothes. They want you to only have to worry about your child.
Sick kid, yeah. And Janelle and all them people over there, they're just super nice. I mean, just super nice. Dave, I don't think I could do that every day.
Now, hold your thoughts. I got Bill O'Reilly. We want to join Bill in progress.
Views your request, provides the prescription if it's appropriate. Then they ship it right to your door. Please go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Bill. Use code BILL10 for 10% off. On this Thursday, it dawned on me that I really didn't understand Europe when the Swedish pop group ABBA became superstars. What was this? Waterloo, Fernando? Are you kidding me? Bring back the Doors. Since then, I've studied the continent, especially after 9/11, ignited the war on terror. Europe would seem to be a natural ally for the USA in fighting the Islamists, but it's not. President Trump seems to be a bit taken aback by NATO's apathy regarding Iran. On paper, the Europeans should be our partners in dismantling this murderous government. But Germany says, quote, "It is not our war." And the rest of Europe is not helping America and Israel in the conflict. This is distressing. A few reasons. Anti-Semitism, very present in Europe, especially amongst the millions of Muslim immigrants there. Many countries in the EU are soft. Welfare precincts, where self-involvement, not self-sacrifice, rules. And finally, anti-American sentiment runs hot in Europe because the controversial President Trump consistently points out the EU's weakness. So Iran catches a break. It's not going to be enough to save the mullahs, but it's annoying. Back in a moment. Homeowners, when is the last time you checked your home title? Scammers are everywhere and they're targeting your equity. With just a single forged document, they can file at the county. So don't wait until it's too late. Find out if you are already a victim today. Please go to HomeTitleLock.com. Use the promo code BILL to get a free title history report, plus a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update.
The Car and Truck Doctor Show is back. Sponsored by Bumper to Bumper Auto Parts and these dealers. Joe's Garage in North Little Rock, Mid-State Transmission and Auto Repair in Benton, and Pinnacle Automotive in Little Rock. Now, here's Dave Elswick on 101.1, The Answer.
Well, I would, if I were you, and you should check you can check your own air conditioner. How do you do that? Well, turn it on.
Yep.
And set the device that tells you what temperature is going to be at about 65 degrees, and see if it starts blowing really cold air.
If it don't, you need some help.
Call Bumper to Bumper.
Yeah.
They'll take care of you, and they'll get that fixed for you.
We've had a couple of people come in wanting cabin air filters, and I tell them, no, not right now. Wait another couple, 3 weeks.
Yeah, until the pollen stops dropping, because they're filling up your
and they just say, well, I just think it needs one. Well, a couple of them I've checked and put them back in, told them, no, they're fine to, let a little more of this green junk get out of the air.
Yeah, because if not, you'll be replacing it in 2 or 3 weeks anyway again.
Yeah, and I got one customer, he's allergic to everything, kind of like me. I bought him a cabin air filter that's got charcoal in it through Bumper to Bumper.
Yeah,
and he said
they do offer some of them like that.
He said, man, it made a world of difference in his breathing, when he's riding up and down the road. And I told him, I said, I've sold a few of them, but not many of them, because they are a little bit more expensive. But if you got bad allergy problems, it helps the world. That's what I put in mine, one with the charcoal in it.
Yeah, well, I'm telling everybody, to get their AC checked, because let me just give you the temperatures on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. On Friday, it's going to be 83 degrees and sunny. Then on Saturday, it's going to be 87 degrees and sunny. And on your Sunday coming up, we're going to crack 90 degrees. It's going to be 91 degrees on the 22nd. And then that Monday, we'll drop back down to 65.
Yeah, kind of like this past Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could go from 75 one day to 25 the next, and I had a bunch of cold water leaks on big trucks. I mean, because when it gets real cold, you have a cold water leak on them silicone hoses about every time, and you just have to go around and tighten all the clamps up
Yes, sir.
Fill it back full of water and back full of antifreeze and send them on their way. We had 4 or 5 come in with cold water leaks, but most time they're easy to repair.
If your antifreeze is down, that will affect your AC, will it not?
It affects your heater. It won't affect your
Okay.
AC, but it will affect your heater. Well, if it's down low enough, it could affect your AC because the temperature is running too high in the radiator, and you can't get everything cooled off good enough.
Yeah, my Kia, when it overheated, Linda was driving it, and a little sign popped up over the steering wheel in the information center.
Yep.
And it said, "Turn on AC," or pardon me, "Turn on heater."
Yeah, trying to get it circulate more water through it.
That the car was overheating.
Yeah. But it's I tell people all the time, hey, when it gets hot, cut it off, pull over the side of the road. Don't keep driving it.
Yeah, shut it down.
Because usually if you keep driving it, looking to yourself what it's going to cost.
Oh, yeah.
Most time you're going to wind up putting motor in it.
vehicles, yeah, these vehicles run extremely warm anyway for fuel mileage, so you don't have much of a window before you're hot.
Yeah, most of the fans don't even come into 225.
I know.
And most of them run 210 going down the road.
Yes, sir.
But it does make them burn cleaner, and it does make them.
It burns all the moisture out of the crankcase.
Yep.
Because if you see a vehicle that don't get up to engine temperature very much and all, you go to change the oil in, you'll pull the oil cap off, and it'll be milky white on the bottom side of the oil cap.
Or pull the dipstick out, and it's at the bottom of it where it's milky
Yes, sir.
white. But
Dipstick, what's that?
hey, you'd be surprised cars that ain't got transmission dipsticks anymore.
I don't have one in mine.
They sure don't.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. I mean, they say, well, they don't never need to be serviced, but then you pull out the book and it says service at every 60,000 miles.
It bothers me that there is no dipstick in a car anymore, because I can't, irritate people by calling them a dipstick, because they don't know what it means.
Like that commercial used to be, thinking, well, your dipstick, son.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I call somebody a dipstick, it's usually not the part from the car.
Not
I'm
your
talking
man.
about.
Of course. That's the key.
But, them Dodge Sprinters and Freightliner Sprinters and all them on the transmission, they got a plug in them, and the only way you can service them and fill them back full of fluid, you have to buy a tube and a dipstick. All right, at $300
Oh my God. $300 for a dipstick?
and a tube. You got to have the tube go along with it.
Does it talk to you like Boss Hog?
Nope.
Mm-mm.
It just says, I need money. But in order to service, so I got a bunch of customers that's got them. So I bought a dipstick and a tube, and we just pull the plug out, stick the tube in, fill it up, put the plug back, and take my dipstick tube back out, put the plug back in it, hang it back up on the wall.
Yeah, I'm getting pretty close to another
So the customer,
oil service
so
myself.
the customer don't have to buy it, but that way, we'll leave the tube in it, go drive it back and forth down the road, make sure it's full. Then once it gets full, we put the plug back in it, and and then hang it back up on the wall for the next one, because they're all pretty well. There's about a 6 or 7 year window there that they're all the same. So
Now, something that you at the certified service centers do that a lot of people don't do is when you do an oil service or you're checking people's air conditioning and things of that nature, part of that check is to go over, hey, let's see if you got all your fluids for your engine and things.
when we service one, we make sure everything gets checked. We make sure everything gets checked. Your windshield washer fluid, we check your wiper blades, and Look at your belts and your hose. The same thing you do, Kenneth. Same thing we all do.
Tire pressure.
Yeah,
you know,
look at
we've
the tires
seen a bunch of them here lately where the tires were low because of the cold weather.
Yep. I got a 2021 model Dodge truck. Someone put a transmission in it, 4-wheel drive. And I guess when they put the transfer case back up in it, they didn't check the oil in it.
No.
The guy drove it about 1,000 miles, and it spit all the pieces out of the transfer case. And
they must have not have checked it.
They didn't. He went back to the dealer that put the transmission in it. You know what they told him? Sorry for your bad luck.
Oh my God. Man. Yeah, the bad luck. Sorry that our guys didn't do their complete job.
Man, that's one thing about, like, I had a Ford Bronco long time ago, Bronco 2 transmission. It was never the same. And I swear, after you have a transmission put in, it just don't seem like it's the same.
It just wasn't a good transmission.
It
Somebody
depends
did it
on
right.
who did it. That's the problem.
And
that's why we tell people to call Gary Henry.
This guy, he is livid. I mean, he said, I just spent, it was an Ison transmission. He said, I just spent almost 10 grand getting transmission put in it. And the problem is, Dave, he wanted a reman transfer case.
Really?
Why would you do that if you're spending that much money?
It's just,
well, they're expensive though, aren't they?
Yep, they're expensive. Yeah.
But still, it's going to cost you.
4-wheel drive is expensive.
Yeah, I know. That's why I don't.
That's the thing.
But there isn't. I called Jasper.
But they're fun.
Tuesday, was talking to Jasper about it, and they said, we don't have no cores to build. Can you send us yours and we'll build yours? And I said, there ain't enough left of mine to send in. It's got hose blowed inside of it. Wow. Run out of oil. So I called Stoney over at Sonny's, which it ain't Sonny's no more. It's ASAP now. But he said, hey, I got one with 40,000 miles on it. It's in somewhere down in Texas. So I'm supposed to have it today to go in it. But, I told the guy, I said, there's no remans available. He said, let me see if I can find one. Okay, go for it. Then he called me back and he said, no, I guess we're going to have to go with the used one because I can't find one either.
And he find one made in North Korea or something like that.
Well, they're actually made in Japan, Dave.
Okay,
so it's where they're made at.
The Japanese are making them, ship them over here to be installed.
Yep, okay. Putting them in Dodge trucks. And, some of the...
They must have been the lowest bidder.
They probably was. You know how that goes.
Yes, sir.
These utility companies, they'll send out bids for these trucks, and they'll have the smallest motor they can put in them, and everything is the smallest they can put in them because everybody's competing against one another to sell them to them. And because they may buy,
and they don't even have a ball mount or a trailer hitch under it.
They may buy 75 or 80 of them. I got one utility company, they buy 50 at a whack when they buy trucks.
Wow.
We had Arkansas Highway Department. They bought a bunch of trailer hitches from us and all because the last set of trucks they got didn't
have them on it.
Didn't have no receiver, man. Yeah. I'm like, y'all are always pulling something or doing something. Why y'all buy trucks? Well, it was the cheapest one. I said, yeah, but it didn't come with no. I said, but
how cheap is it now?
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, no towing gear on it.
Hey, I had
a good thing.
I had a John Deere sweeper one time. They brought it to me. The motor was dusted, and I tore it apart. With the highway department, you got to tear it apart, make an estimate on it. I made an estimate on it. They sent the bids out, and I got beat by $1.74.
Wow.
3 guys and 2 trucks come loaded it up and hauled it to this guy. And they paid me 10 hours labor to tear it apart and 3 guys labor to move it. And I told the guy out there, I said, how in the world did you save money? He said, I didn't. He said, but he beat you by $1.74. So I just smiled real big. They paid me and paid him too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they paid me and paid him too. And I told him, I said, there ought to be a clause in there somewhere. If it's less than $20, we ain't got to move it, But he said, that ain't the way it is. So, and I've dealt with the highway department over years, and they've always been like that. I have got them where I beat somebody by $2 or $3, and they'll come wagging it over in pieces. The guy that got this one, he called me and he said, are you sure you got everything? I said, man, I promise you, I got the bolts and I got them marked on the bag, where they come from. And I said, I promise you, everything is there unless they lost something going to you. And he called me back about 2 or 3 weeks later, and he said, man, I couldn't believe it. Everything was there. All the boats was tagged. I said, I told you they was. I said, because I've got these basket cases before, and I know how hard it is. You know, when you get one in a basket and the boats are in a 5-gallon bucket.
Yeah, I remember back in the day when I worked, this is back in the late 80s, people would buy a carburetor kit. And they'd take it apart and they couldn't get it back together, and they'd bring it up there to where my dad worked
in a box,
in a bucket.
Yep.
And it'd be a 4-barrel cartridge jet. And my dad, he could, I don't know how, I guess because he'd done so many of them, he could put that thing back together, and then he would give it to the people and say, listen, put it back on there. It probably ain't gonna run exactly right. I need you to bring it up here and let me adjust it.
Yeah, let me. Don't go turning on those screws. Let me.
Yeah, don't touch nothing. Just bolt it up and get the fuel line to it. And he could. I mean, but he's battling dementia now. He can't recognize probably
sad.
Me right now.
That's pretty sad.
Yeah, we're going through that a little bit right now. My mama is, and us.
Pretty sad. That's like here back right before Christmas, Russell, I was somewhere, and he said, Dad, you going to be at the shop tomorrow? I said, yeah, why? He said, I got a quad jet I need you to overhaul. I said, all right. Because I still got all my adjusting tools.
I mean, that's amazing that somebody still has
this
kind
guy,
of a carburetor.
This guy's redoing an old Chevrolet car.
Okay, so he's doing a classic.
Yeah. Okay. So he come wagging it up there, and he had it in a box, and he had his own kit. And I said, did you get 2 floats to go with it? No. Go back and get me a float kit. So he went back and got a float, and I tore it apart and put it in a vat and cleaned it and washed it all off and put it back together. And I told him the same thing. I said, look, when you get it running, you get it drivable, come by here, call and make sure I'm here, and come by here, and I'll adjust it out for you.
Got to tune it up.
Yep. Because I mean, there's settings you can set the idle screws and all that stuff, but still without it running, but I can get it pretty close.
Yeah, in the mid 70s.
Yeah,
I was going out to California, Oregon, Washington, 3 states I had as territory, and was doing my sales out there. I got to Flagstaff, Arizona.
Had to get out and adjust it,
and my Torino started acting up. I took it into the gentleman that shop that was along the highway, Interstate 40.
And he knew what you wanted.
And he looked at me and says, I said, the car's not running right. And he said, have you had it to a mechanic and had it looked at and have your carburetor adjusted? Because when you got up really high into the mountains, it screwed it up royal. Let me tell you, it wouldn't run or anything.
And the good thing about all this fuel injection and all this stuff, it does all that for you now.
Yeah, you don't have to do
it adjusts for you.
Yeah, and that's a good thing because you don't have to do nothing except mash the pedal and keep going.
All right, guys, let's take our final break. Then we'll come back and talk some more. If you got a question.
When you come back, we're going to talk about the car show coming up, too.
Okay. Yeah, Duck and Kenneth's going to be here. You can ask them questions if you have a car question. 501-401-1011. That's the number here at the Dave Elswick Show on The Answer.
If you're nearing retirement, stop what you're doing and listen, because what's unfolding right now could hit your 401k or IRA harder than anything we've seen in years. Military escalation across the Middle East, a tariff war spilling into the courts, the U.S. dollar facing pressure that historically signals one thing: a flight to safety. Smart money has been moving into gold and silver, and it's not slowing down. Call Advantage Gold right now at 800-900-8000 and get your free gold investment kit, plus a free copy of economist Ken Rogoff's eye-opening book, Our Dollar, Your Problem. Thousands of Americans have already rolled over a portion of their retirement savings into physical gold and silver, completely tax and penalty-free through Advantage Gold. The next news cycle won't wait for you. Get into position now. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. Results vary. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000.
We bring you the biggest news stories of the day. Not to tell you what to think, but to allow you to have the most information so you can make up your mind. 101.1, The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk. Something big is happening, and you need to be in the know. Operation Epic Fury is here, and the only place to get all the details. Stay tuned and listen closely for updates on Operation Epic Fury on 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk. The Car and Truck Doctor Show is back. Sponsored by Bumper to Bumper Auto Parts and these dealers: Dewdrop Auto Repair in Pine Bluff, Duck's Garage in Benton, and Jets Gas and Service in Little Rock. Now, here's Dave Elswick on 101.1 The Answer.
Well, that one worked out just perfect.
Just right, didn't it? Yep.
Yeah. Talked about Dewdrop, talked about Duck's Garage. That's always good because that's the guys that are on today with me here on the Car and Truck Doctors, brought to you by Bumper to Bumper. They do a great job, and they are a sponsor of the car show that we do every year, now with Bumper to Bumper, and early May is when it will be
May the
happening.
2nd.
Okay, so May the 2nd. And what's the changes on that going to be like? Because it changes every year. There's always little tweaks that have to be made.
We always have to tweak it a little bit every year. This year we tweaked it. We're going to have the best of the cars show. It's going to be a car and a pickup. So each the car people that bring their cars, they're going to get the best of the show will get a trophy and $1,000 gift card. Same way with the pickups. The overall best pickup's going to get a trophy and $1,000. Then we'll have the first, second place, and third place trophy in all the categories. We're all going to give stuff away. We all will give swag away there at the show, and we're going to have some food trucks there. Supposedly we're going to have a coffee company there setting up coffee for in the morning.
Ooh.
One of the food truck guys, he said he's going to he'll cook breakfast. He said he's going to be there at 8:00 and have breakfast. If anybody want breakfast. He told me biscuits and gravy and sausage and eggs and stuff like that. He said he could have that there without any trouble. So it'd be a pretty good time, won't it, Kenneth?
Yes, sir. It's always fun.
And it's always to raise money for Ron McDonald House, and everything. So we'll see how it goes this year. We raised right at $8,000 last year for him. We was down a little bit. We didn't have many cars. Normally we have about 160 or 70 cars. Last year we had I think 131 or 2 or 3.
Yeah, but you had all those car shows within a 40-minute drive.
Yeah, they was counting us. There were 6 car shows that morning within a 45-minute drive of us. So, and it was a nice, pretty sunny day. If it's a rainy day, we wind up with more cars because we're inside. We got covered roof and inside the building. And if they stack them just right, I can get 103 cars inside the main building.
Let me ask this: when you put the cars out in their parking places and for their displays, are you going to have all the pickups in one area and all the regular cars in another?
You can't hardly do it, Dave.
No, you can't.
They come in to, stack her in, But and I tell you something else, Kenneth, that we come up with. Each row is going to have a number. One row going to be number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that way, when we had to go back and find a car that didn't get judged, we can just say, hey, it's in row number 3. It's spot number 5.
Where it's at immediately. Yeah.
Instead of having to go walk through the whole show looking at everything.
Yes, sir.
I mean, because we have done that, ain't we? Kind of walk through the hunting one car that didn't get all the sheets graded on it and everything. So we come up with that ideal. Plus, we come up with having the best of the cars and the best of the pickup, and so come on out.
A little bit of extra money to spread around this year.
Come on out. There'll be vendors there from Bumper to Bumper. The 2 cars from Peterson Light Company out of Kansas City, they're going to be there this year.
Oh, good. They're coming back.
I don't know. I asked James, were they going to bring the same cars they brought last year? And Peterson hadn't told them what they're bringing this year.
Good. I hope they bring something different.
Yeah. I don't know, though, that Woody last year, Dave, was pretty neat.
Yeah, it was an immaculate.
Yeah, it was pretty neat.
Looking.
But, those are $300,000 cars they brought down there to show, and everything. So.
When I looked at that, you know what I saw? I saw the car, and then I saw the Beach Boys with a surfboard
Exactly.
standing
That's
off
what
the
I was
front banner.
thinking.
Yep.
You know, and because they had the Beach Boys had Surfing USA, that album,
Yep.
and that's the car that they had on
It
the
had a
cover.
Woody on it. Yep. With a surfboard tied up on the top of it. Yeah. That's the first thing I thought when I seen it. Where's the surfboard at?
Yeah, and it wasn't fake metal either.
No.
That was real wood on that one.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so, but they're going to be there, and we'll have Corvettes there, and we'll have older stuff there, and we'll have newer stuff there, and we're going to have the best of the off-road four-wheel drive there too. You know, we're going to have a trophy for that, and like I say, we all give stuff away. Kenneth gives stuff away. I do. Joe's does. Jets does. Gary Henry from Mid-State, he's going to have stuff. I got ducks ordered. Ashley ordered them this week. I think she told me she ordered 500 ducks.
What are they going to look like this year?
I'd be about like it was last year.
They're going to be in 15.
There's an assortment of them, wasn't it?
Yeah. She just goes through there and picks. Hey, give me 30 of these, 40 of these, 50 of these, and I threatened to buy whistles again, but I got downshot on that.
Yeah, that's
my daughter-in-law told me I'm ordering it. You ain't getting no whistles. So
the only thing worse than giving out whistles to kids is giving them a new drum kit.
Yeah. I had a couple of customers. They come by with their kids and after the car show, and I give them a couple of whistles. And one of the mamas called me. If I'm down there, don't you give my kids no more whistles. She said, I finally got them took away from them. I said, okay, I promise I won't till I see them again. But, you know
what I used to do is I would say, hey, let me see you whistle. And I'd be looking at it and I'd drop it and step on it. And I said, oh, doggone it. I'm so sorry.
I had a guy named Dylan. He brought his two boys in there. He was at the car show, and I gave him a couple that year. And then they was a couple of weeks later, they was back in there, and he went out to talk to Russell out in the shop a minute. While he was out in the shop, I handed him another whistle apiece. I told him, I said, put them in your pocket till you get home.
Yeah.
He come by the shop the next day with them whistles in his hand. Here, you can have these back. I said, send them outside with them. He said, no, they won't blow them in the house.
Yeah.
He said, my wife's about to kill me now anyway over it. I said, yeah, it's okay. I said, no, you can just keep them. You may need them later on. So
yeah, you're talking about getting on somebody's last nerve. That's the way to do it.
Oh yes. That's like Teresa told me. She was looking through the Oriental Trading Book that where Ashley buys the ducks and everything else, and they had some miniature footballs. Teresa said, we need to get. I said, I said, them kids that get to throw them in there and they'll mess around, hit one of them $100 cars.
Yeah.
I'll be in trouble. I said, that ain't something that you can do.
They take those cars, at least most of them, very seriously.
Most of them got $100,000, $200,000 Dave in them,
And that's just a paint job.
Well, Tom, one of the judges, he does upholsteries in some of them cars, and he said it ain't nothing to spend $20,000, $30,000 for upholstery.
That's for that button punch stuff, right?
Well, it's just, and that's the whole car. That's the door panels, the floor,
everything.
the roof and the seats. But when you're doing a show car, it's got to look its best, Dave.
I understand.
Because the inside is just as much as the outside.
You got to spend $80,000 to try to win 1,000.
Yeah, but all these guys pride on the money don't.
But it's bragging rights.
That's right.
Exactly. That's what I've been saying. The money is one thing, but the bragging rights is a whole lot more. So, they're pushing as far as they can push it, and get it. And Dave, we have got down to paint, counting paint chips.
Paint chips. Yep.
Just figure out who won, and looking for rust spots on them and to figure out who won.
What was it? That was a 55 Chevy that won it 2 years in a row.
55 or 66, I don't remember.
I just know it was immaculate.
Oh, it was. It was a beautiful car, and that guy was one of Joe's customers that won it. Dave,
I never saw that car at Joe's garage, so I'm saying he didn't drive it around.
Oh no, he didn't drive it much. Hey, I want to thank Bumper to Bumper for all the support they give us during the car show, because without them, Kenneth, we'd be lost without them. on the
I'm
car
probably
show.
lost anyway, but
Well,
that's
me
what helped
too.
keep me straight.
Yeah. Thanks, Richard, and all
Thank
of them,
you.
and James, and everybody from Bumper to Bumper. We appreciate y'all.
Thank you,
for
Kenneth.
everything y'all do for us.
Appreciate you being on the air today. Let's take
Yes,
a break
sir.
until next
Thank you,
Thursday
Kenneth. Take care.
on the
Thank
Dave
y'all.
Elswick Show.
Y'all have a good day.
You too.
Download our app, stream us 24/7, or watch us at snc.tv. KDXE, Kamek Village, Little Rock.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. President Trump is putting Iran on notice. He's threatening to blow up Iran's massive South Pars natural gas field if it doesn't stop attacking Qatar. Israel attacked the Iranian natural gas field yesterday. Mr. Trump says the U.S. was not involved in that.
Iran is intensifying its attacks on its Gulf neighbor's energy infrastructure as it hits back following an Israeli strike on its main natural gas field. Thursday's strikes set Qatari liquefied natural gas facilities and 2 Kuwaiti oil refineries ablaze, and the United Arab Emirates has shut down one of its gas operations. Iran also hit a Saudi refinery on the Red Sea, marking a major escalation in the Mideast war that's sent global fuel prices soaring. The price of Brent crude oil, the international standard, is now up more than 57% since Israel and the US started the war on February 28. I'm Charles Desmond.
And at this morning's Pentagon briefing, War Secretary Hegseth said there's no way under President Trump's leadership that the U.S. is going to get dragged into another forever war.
The dishonest and anti-Trump press will stop at nothing. We know this at this point. To downplay progress, amplify every cost, and call into question every step. Sadly, TDS is in their DNA. They want President Trump to fail. But you, the American people, know better.
The president predicts the war will end sooner rather than later. He says energy prices will then drop like a rock. No relief yet from the late winter heat wave. It's gripping the Southwest, and forecasters say could get even hotter this upcoming weekend. Watching Wall Street, Dow futures down 307 points. The NASDAQ futures off 211 points. More on these stories, townhall.com.
What is dedication?
The thing that drives me every day as a dad is Darian. We call him Day for short. Every day he's hungry for something, whether it's attention, affection, knowledge. And there's this huge responsibility in making sure that when he's no longer under my wing, that he's a good person. I think the advice I would give is you don't need to know all the answers. The craziest thing was believing that your dad knew everything. So as a dad, you felt like you had to know everything. You had to get everything right. It's okay to make mistakes. As long as it's coming from love, then, it kind of starts to work itself out. I want him to be able to sit back one day and go, we worked together, we did a good job.
That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
The jailing of a key opposition figure has unleashed political unrest in Turkey.
Supporters waving opposition banners and Turkish flags gathered in their thousands, chanting messages of support for the detained mayor amid a large police presence. Mr. Imamoglu, who had been widely viewed as a serious challenger to President Erdogan in the country's next presidential election, is currently on trial, facing numerous charges, including corruption. He denies them all. Mr. Erdogan's government has denied political interference, insisting that Turkey's courts operate independently.
The BBC's Tom Bailey. European Union leaders holding a summit in Brussels to tackle growing fallout from the Iran war, rising energy prices, and a stalled loan for Ukraine. The EU leaders meeting today as fighting in the Middle East rise fears over instability in energy markets. Townhall.com. Although it's been pushed off the front page by the Mideast war, the Jeffrey Epstein case remains the focus of a congressional investigation.
Attorney General Pam Bondi and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche went to Capitol Hill to offer a closed-door briefing on the Jeffrey Epstein files. They were seeking to quell bipartisan frustration over the Justice Department's handling of millions of documents related to Epstein's sex trafficking investigation. The Democrats walked out in protest and said they will press to enforce a subpoena for Bondi to appear before the House Oversight Committee for a sworn deposition next month. Representative Maxwell Frost explaining, "We do not trust her." Committee Chairman James Comer accused Democrats of political grandstanding. Ben Thomas, Washington.
As expected, the Federal Reserve holding its key short-term interest rate where it is. Fed Chairman Powell citing increasingly uncertain outlooks for the U.S. economy and inflation. More on these stories, townhall.com.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
We just kind of knew from the beginning that we were family. They showcased a sense of love that I never had before. I mean, he's not only my parent, like he's like my best friend. At the end of the day, it's all been worth it. I wouldn't change a thing about our lives.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. Brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council. We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
When I met both of them, it was like my missing pieces were found. Like it was just like an instant, these are my kids. If you're considering adopting a teen, just do it. Kids need families. I don't care the age. Everybody deserves a family.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Elswick Show, and David Fisher is going to join us today, as he always does on a Thursday. David, welcome to the show. Thanks for making time for us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Dave.
Well, let's talk about what's going on because there's a lot going on in the world, and that's causing problems in the financial markets, and it's affecting silver and gold as well. And I want to cover all of those areas today with you. So let's go talk about that here on the Dave Elswick Show. I'm bringing up some information here. You said that in what you sent me today, you said that the producer price index report last week came out, and it wasn't good news at all. Can you explain that, first of all?
Sure. We were talking about the economy retracting, Dave, and also having stagflation, which is the worst environment we want to be in. And I said I'd keep your listeners informed, and that's clearly what this report is confirming. Now, what I'm not saying is we're in a stagflationary environment. What I am saying is that we keep going towards that direction, and the report confirms it. So this report, the producer price index report, first of all, it tracks wholesale prices. So this is really hard cost data. Says without any markups, do we have inflation? The report by the Wall Street Journal survey says it should go up around 0.3%. It came in 0.7%, twice as hot as what it thought it would, which means we have inflation. And there's people out there like a guy by the name of Todd Schoenberg. He's a financial advisor in stocks for a company called Crosscheck Management. Was interviewed on CNBC, and he said, this is structural now. So it's not just a transitory inflationary environment we're in. And he confirmed, he says, we're not even factoring in the recent rise of oil. This is January's report we're talking about, or February's report. So we haven't had a huge rise in oil as before this report. Somewhat, oil's up 68% year to date. And he says when you factor in this, the time that we've had since the report was put together and it looking in the rearview mirror, when you look from the rearview mirror just a month, but looking from then till now, oil's spiking. Oil's up another percent today. We topped out at $108 a barrel yesterday. It's about 100 today. So he's saying that energy prices are going to get even hotter, and the next month report could be even worse. And, looking deeper dive into the report, goods and services rose 1.1% for 1 month. That's huge numbers. Food prices rose 2.4% for 1 month. And dry vegetables, buckle your seatbelt, it was up 49% for 1 month. It's just not a good report. The sky is not falling. The dollar's not going to zero. I'm not saying any of that because that's not reality, but it's just not good news. The economy is not growing like we want it to grow. It's growing slowly, but inflation is becoming a bigger problem, is what this confirms. And the Federal Reserve talked yesterday. They didn't lower interest rates. I'm going to get into that next week because we got to talk about what's going on with the markets and oil and the Strait of Hormuz and all that. That affects really, that. But we're going to probably only see one rate cut this year compared to, 2 to 3. And I'll get into what's happening with rates. I got some more information on that, but I want to spend a lot of time on what the markets are doing today.
Okay, so let's talk as far as what's going on in Iraq. That's not a cheap war that they're fighting over there, or operation. I heard that in the first week of the war, we spent well over $1 billion.
We're spending, I don't know where that number is coming from because the data that I have is less than that. It's still disturbing. We've spent $12 billion in the first week. I'm going to speculate because there's no Dally running total that says here's how much the war is costing us
right
as of yesterday. So I'm going to say we're probably around 18 to 20 billion dollars. Now, that's a lot better than 100 billion.
Yeah, I agree.
We probably spent. Let's put this into perspective. First of all, this war is very costly. There's no question about it, and we have to assess: is it worth the cost? Is it worth the lives? And I'm not anti-war, anti-Trump. I'm just saying just take all that emotion and set it aside. Let's put this into perspective. The cost of the war is $1.5 to $2 billion a day, is what it really is. What's that in reference to the Gulf War? The Gulf War was 250 million, a lot less per day. The Iraqi war was 685 million per day. And the war in Afghanistan was 315 million per day. So a $1.5 to $2 billion cost in a war per day is significantly higher than all the other costs. Why is that? Well, technology. We're using a lot different technology fighting these wars because it's available than what we had in the previous timeline that we're talking about because technology wasn't there. We're also firing a lot more bombs. This is a 24/7 campaign. And so this is a burn rate of spending of 3 to 6 times more money per day than any other war we've been in, any war. And so we're burning a lot of money. Now, is it worth it? I don't know. We'll never know that until we get on the other side.
That's right.
And we'll never know that if we could look into a crystal ball saying, what would have happened if we didn't do what we're doing? Would they have a nuclear weapon? Would they be firing that off? But here's the big problem. And not that I have a problem with this war. They saying it's going to end in 2 weeks, maybe a month. I don't think that's really being realistic. We're talking about trying to control a Strait of Hormuz, which is, even if they said ceasefire today, we're going to be a month before all the mines are cleared, 2 weeks to a month before the mines are cleared, and you get tankers through there. So this is not going to be a short-term thing. They're not even close, to my opinion, of having a ceasefire. It's dig in and fight back is what Iran is doing. And so on top of that, who do we trust as their leaders? We almost have to have a regime by the United States running this country because of the multiple layers of this belief system that they're just so anti-American, anti-Christianity, and not all Iranians. I'm just saying there's these religious fundamental people who are actually running the country. They hate Israel, and those of us that follow Scripture are supposed to be in supporting Israel, and that's what the United States does. And so this is going to be a longer term than what we ever thought, because are we going to be able to control the Strait of Hormuz? Are we going to be able to get a regime change? Those things are very challenging things that we're finding out now. So, on top of that, the Committee for Responsible Budget came out last week. That's why we're talking about the cost of this. And they're saying that policymakers are woefully unprepared for the next pullback in the economy. It will cause a severe financial problem for the United States. And also the Congressional Budget Office is warning that. So we're spending a lot more money, and you're going to see Congress or the president or his administration ask for money from Congress. If the conflict lasts 6 months, we'll be at roughly $270 billion, the most expensive war we've ever been in per day. And I could see it lasting, unfortunately, that long.
Yeah, I saw a story yesterday that was talking about the debt, and we've gone past $39 trillion now.
Yeah, and that, if we were at 30 trillion or 50 trillion or whatever the number is, it wouldn't be such a big deal if the revenue matched up and grew more than the debt.
Yeah, that's not happening.
The debt to GDP ratio, or the revenue, is 126%. In 1973, our last oil crisis, it was at 37%. We could manage our bills. In other words, as a household, you want to have a lot more income than there's expenses going out.
Yeah,
Simple as
absolutely.
that. And that we seem to forget, the government doesn't. The government seems to forget that they don't think they need to operate that way. But the day of reckoning is coming, and it's going to be severe. I have another information on that already with what we're talking about. What we'll talk about next week. The day of reckoning is coming, unfortunately, for America. I love my country, but we are so far out of control on our spending, and always it gets justified. I did an interview here earlier in the week, and they said, I think the cost of a war outweighs the price of what we would be paying if we didn't go in and disarm nuclear Iranian enrichment. And I almost tend to have to agree to that. But at some point, where do we cut somewhere else? And then we just never cut. That's the problem.
All right, let me finish up by saying, what does this mean for gold and silver? That is really your area of expertise.
Well, gold and silver is caught, just like the stock market is caught, in this downward pressure of massive uncertainty of oil spiking. And now that the Federal Reserve is probably not going to lower interest rates like they anticipated, because we're in this inflationary environment now, lowering interest rates would cause more problems. So lower interest rates would have caused a rally in gold and silver because you're lowering the value of the dollar. Lower interest rates causes a rally in stocks because the cost of doing business is less. Well, that's why the stock market is in a sea of red. That's why gold is also and silver is also pulled back in red. But year to date, the Dow's down 3.8%, the S&P is down 3.2%. That's 19 or 20% annually. The Nasdaq is the only one because the Magnificent Seven is up 5%. That's up 26% annually. Gold is down or is up about 5.5% year to date. That's about a little bit more than the Nasdaq, 27%. Silver is down about 4.5%. That's about a 20%, 22% year to date down. This is always different in just the last couple of weeks. Silver was the number one moving market. But we're getting to what you call support levels in these markets. At some point, everything becomes too cheap. And then people say, okay, now I need to buy something that's highly undervalued. Or people say, I don't want to liquidate at this lower level because it's ridiculous. And that's where we're getting to in pretty much all the markets, Dave.
Oh, wow.
And so we're getting at a support level where it's a huge buying opportunity in gold and silver. And everything I'm reading outside of people who are dealers in my company, in my industry, everything is saying, in fact, yesterday on CNBC, they reaffirmed it with 4 panels who are stock traders saying, you're going to see a rally in gold this year. Do not sell out your gold. In fact, you should be buying at these levels. And that's really what's happening. Those are smart investors are calling my company and are loading up at these levels because there's very limited downside and a lot of upside. They're calling $6,000 gold. You know, that's a $1,500 movement right now in gold. They're talking about $100 plus movement in silver. $100 more. That's a huge increase. So we're talking about $160, $170 movement. All these things are still in place. Once we get out of the war, the first part of the war, which is probably in 2 weeks to a month, you're going to start to see these things making a big move, maybe sooner. So buy the market, call my company and learn about that. There's no obligation, but this is a huge buying opportunity.
All right, let's give the phone number to everybody, 844-604-2575. That's 844-604-2575, or go online to Landmark Gold. That's one word, landmarkgold.com. Don't forget about the 2 white papers, the Golden Era that has a silver lining. You'll want to read that. And about BRICS, you'll want to read about that as well. And one last question before I let you go, David. How is this war going to affect BRICS? I mean, Iran is part of the BRICS move. So how is it going to affect them?
Well, when we launched the big B-2 bombers here back in June last year, BRICS was in Brazil, their annual conference, and Brazil immediately condemned it with a formal statement. There's not a formal statement that's come out of BRICS yet, but 3 countries, China, Russia, and obviously Iran, and also South Africa. So 4 countries of BRICS have said publicly this should not be happening. BRICS is unified. They're growing. And those that don't know, BRICS is now representing 50% of the population. There are 11 major countries, and they represent about 40% of the world production. So, and global trade in oil is 25%. So BRICS is unified. They're not going away. They're just kind of being quiet. Oil production in BRICS, here's the big key for this. Oil production for BRICS in 2024, 25%. Oil production last year almost doubled to 44%. BRICS is a force that's not going away. They just want to use their own currency. And I'll say, ending with this. The flood, Noah and the ark. They thought he was crazy. I don't know what people believe, but when he was building the ark, it wasn't even raining. There was nothing as such as even rain known to be at that point. I would rather be 2 days, 2 months, or several months earlier to building my ark, getting my financial future secure in precious metals than 2 days too late, because there is a flood that's going to come back here, and it's going to come with vengeance. So once this thing turns, it's going to make big moves. So this market we're in right now is a buying opportunity. Be like Noah, prepare in advance. Forget about if it pulls back $1 or $2 or $50 in gold. Those are limited downside risks. The upside is huge right now, according to all the analysts. But thank you for your time today.
All right. Have a great day, David. Thank you for joining us and giving us all that information that we can take in and look at our own finances and where we're going to move our money to. 844-604-2575 or landmarkgold.com. A break, and then we'll be back on the Dave Elswick Show.
On Salem News Channel, principled voices are shaping today's conversation. Scott Jennings brings clarity to the toughest debates. Josh Hammer's blistering commentary puts politics and culture on trial. And Alex Marlowe's insight connects us to what matters most. Watch anytime on Samsung TV Plus, Pluto TV, or find us on your screen at snc.tv. 3 new shows, 1 powerful lineup. Salem News Channel, across America.
Did you hear Congressman French Hill on the Dave Elswick Show?
Needs to make sure that Iran does not have an active ballistic missile threat to the region, and they end their nuclear program and they stop funding terror proxies. And this is from one of their across the Persian Gulf neighbors, the UAE, and that's exactly the kind of response we need. And I think Trump right to be irritated with NATO. I mean, America.
I agree.
Immediately, we came immediately to the defense of Ukraine, which there's no question about it. And you and I are in full agreement on that Russia should not take Ukraine.
No.
And I agree with. However, we replumbed the entire oil and gas industry to benefit Europe because of Russia's illegal, murderous invasion of Ukraine. And here, Europe and all around the world is dependent on the Straits of Hormuz and Persian Gulf oil production. Therefore, it's logical then that NATO and other American allies would, be supportive.
Don't miss Congressman Hill, Wednesday mornings at 7 on the Dave Elswick Show, 101.1. The Answer.
Let's be honest. The National Symphony may not be in his future, but he wanted to try violin. So you said yes because you love him. And if you love him that much, love him enough to make sure he's buckled up and in the back seat. Find out more about keeping your kids safe in your vehicle at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Show him you love him. Keep him safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. It's 4 a.m., Monday, and you're literally sucking baby snot through a tube because she's congested. Man, that's love. And if you love her that much, love her enough to make sure she's buckled in the right car seat. To make sure your child's in the right seat for their age and size, visit nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Show them you love them. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You can watch the show right now. The Dave Elswick Show is streaming live on Facebook. This is 101.1, The Answer.
All right, back with you, Dave Elswick Show. Grover Norquist has just slandered into the studio here and made himself at home. We'll be talking to him in the next half hour and talking about lowering taxes because, as you know, Americans for Prosperity, the Arkansas chapter, has been working closely with the legislature to get us to a 0%, income tax here in the state of Arkansas. And now there's also talk in the background about looking at how much are you paying for your property taxes. We're looking at that as well. So there's a lot of good things for folks. I hope you listened to that last segment with Dave from the gold folks, because did you catch where he said that they're saying that gold is going to soar to $6,000?
Wow.
That's unbelievable. With that comes the whole idea that the American dollar is in the tank at that point.
Wow, it's not impossible.
Yeah, I agree. It isn't. But silver is the one to watch. Silver is really growing because not only because of what's happening with the dollar, but just because of how much silver is being used in the marketplace.
Yes. Yeah. In all kinds of technology, silver is very, very important.
Uh-huh.
So there's both a monetary demand for it, hedge against inflation, and then also it has industrial uses.
All right. So we're not telling you to get everything out of paper. Right? That's not what we're doing. Mm-hmm. We're just saying get with the person that helps you put together your, retirement plan, and don't miss out on what's going on in precious metals right now. You could really help yourself out. And if you're like me, you're a baby boomer, believe it or not, it can really help you out as far as that's concerned. All right, so we're going to go to the news here in just a moment, and then I'll be back with you with Grover Norquist. Grover is always a fun guy to have on the air, but even better when he's here in the studio.
Yes.
He's looking great. You've lost some weight, brother.
I'm looking for it.
I asked him when he asked me if we were on video. I was like, yeah, did you do your hair and makeup?
Yeah, he looks good. I mean, I'd say he looks good. And of course, Ryan always looks good, and me, perfection.
Hey, for
what can I tell you?
For someone that's let themselves go, you look great, Dave.
Yeah, it's going all right.
Whoa, burn.
Okay, let's go catch the news, and then we'll come back. We'll talk to Grover Norquist here on the Dave Elswick Show. But right now, it's time for the news.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington.
I haven't seen what
President
happened.
Trump is threatening Iran with dire consequences if it launches more attacks on a liquefied natural gas facility in Qatar. The president's threat follows an Israeli strike on Iran's South Pars gas field and Iran's response to that attack. Oil prices continue to rise. International prices briefly touched $119 per barrel this morning. That's fueling an ongoing increase in gasoline prices here at home and abroad. Prices in the U.S. nationally averaging 4 cents a gallon more this morning than yesterday. Democrats' refusal to fund the Transportation Security Administration is seriously snarling air travel. As airport screeners who are not getting paid are not showing up for work.
There wasn't any
The opening
fraud. Why
bell
did they
just
spend
sounding
so
on
much
Wall
time
Street
being
now. Stocks
upset
starting off the day
about closing the
sharply
door to
lower.
it?
More details at SRNnews.com.
I don't know there's fraud, but I know that the people who know if there's fraud are acting like
A
there's
Social
fraud.
Security update. 70 million Americans collect Social Security benefits today, and millions more will join soon. Now, a new study finds 70% of Americans don't get the full benefits they deserve. But recipients can use simple strategies to boost Social Security benefits by as much as $188,000 over a lifetime. Social Security expert Michael Allen says it's true and reveals 5 key strategies to increase your benefits. It's all in his free special report. Newsmax calls the report your best guide for bigger Social Security benefits. Whether you're getting benefits or soon will, you need the Social Security report. Get it free. Call 800-999-9690. 800-999-9690. We'll text it to you right away, along with President Trump's act cutting your Social Security taxes. Call now, 800-999-9690. 800-999-9690. Text and data rates may apply.
Your beloved dog and a stranger are both drowning. You can only save one. Who do you save? Every time Dennis Prager asks that question, his audience splits 3 ways. 1/3 chooses the dog, 1/3 chooses the stranger, and 1/3 aren't sure. Why? Because we live in an age where increasingly feelings define right and wrong. But if morality is based on emotion, then murder, rape, and theft are just opinions. And if people feel justified, why is rioting or destruction wrong at all? In his new book, If There Is No God, Dennis Prager explains why civilizations cannot survive without objective morality and why Judeo-Christian values shape the moral foundations of the free world.
If you claim that certain things are good, certain things are evil, independent of how you feel about it, you are in effect affirming God.
If There Is No God by Dennis Prager. Available now at PragerStore.com. That's PragerStore.com. If things don't change, can you imagine America in 20 years? Scary thought, isn't it? The good news is we have the power to take our nation back. Stay right here for all the information you need. 101.1, The Answer.
You served behind the desk.
You served in combat.
You did 4 years and got out.
You were drafted.
You gave 20 years.
You gave exactly what your country needed.
And so did you.
When you raised your hand and swore an oath to your country, when you put your name on the dotted line, you became part of only 1% of Americans who did the same. You are a veteran.
You are a veteran.
You are a veteran. Because no matter when, where, or how you served, you made a sacrifice for your country, and you deserve support.
If you're struggling with life after service, don't wait. Reach out.
Reach out to a loved one, to a fellow veteran, to VA.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
There's a real battle going on, not only for our future, but that of our children and grandchildren. How do we ensure they have it better than we do? One way is to keep listening to us. We're your information source in the battle. 101.1, The Answer. Dave Elswick is the conservative voice of Arkansas, and he's back. 101.1, The Answer.
Yeah, I ran out and got a whole dozen donuts. And I'm ready. No, I didn't go anywhere. I was sitting right here at the microphone. Grover Norquist is here. I'm excited about this. I like this guy. In fact, I love this guy because he doesn't change his tune about taxes at any time. And that's a good thing. A lot of you know that our legislature is looking at getting rid of the income tax here in Arkansas. The folks at Americans for Prosperity are looking at that. In fact, they want to make sure that we put in some laws that help us, get rid of the income tax here in the state. And Grover is here to meet with people throughout the state, and we'll be addressing different groups today. And let's start off with you, Grover, and say, with Americans for Tax Reform, you've been doing this now for how many years?
About 40 years. The Taxpayer Protection Pledge that we ask people to sign a pledge never to raise taxes, 40 years.
You're almost as old as I am.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah,
I'm catching up on you.
Yeah, you gotta work at it though. I'm still far ahead of you. Anyway, why don't you talk about what your message is to businesses and to taxpayers here in Arkansas while you're here?
Sure. About 12, 13 years ago, a movement started in states. North Carolina really kicked it off, and that was the way to get rid of the state income tax, which is the number one threat to getting new businesses to start up, getting young people to stay in your state once they've graduated from high school and college, is the state income tax. And you can see the 11 states that put in an income tax since the 1960s all fell behind the other states in terms of growth. So you can actually see the difference between states that implemented an income tax not 100 years ago, but in the 1960s, it's got damaged compared to all other states. Other states did better than them. A lot of what happened in the Midwest was they're adopting income taxes, not something else. That's the Rust Belt is kind of a tax belt, among other things. But we were working with North Carolina and other states to trigger the income tax down. So as revenue comes in, instead of going, oh my goodness, look at all the money, spend it tomorrow.
Right.
They say, well, some of it we'll give to the teachers union, but a certain amount of it is going to go in reducing the income tax and therefore not spending it. Over about 12 years, the income tax in North Carolina, they went very, very slowly. First ones very cautiously, has dropped in half. They're going to keep triggering down. They don't have to vote every year. Just every year, revenue comes in above a certain point, the income tax comes down a bit, on and on. You do that for a number of years, and you can take the income tax to zero in any state. There are now 5 states that have actually passed the law that if the legislature moved to Timbuktu, it would just keep clicking down. They don't have to vote again. They don't have to be there. They don't have to, it just automatically goes down to zero. That's 5 states. And there are 7 states, Arkansas is one of them, where the leadership, your governor ran for office saying that she wanted to take the income tax to zero. A lot of the state legislators have made that commitment as well. Arkansas is one of the 7 states that's looking to go to zero and taking steps. A lot of tax cuts in the last several years in Arkansas, but what we found most effective in the other states is 8 states in the last 5 years have gone to a flat rate tax. Arkansas has not done that yet. You still have a graduated income tax. Karl Marx's 4th idea in his list of 10, graduated income tax. But by going to a flat rate tax, it makes it very difficult to raise the tax because you've got to attack everybody in the state at once. And that politicians don't like to do. But it also makes it easy to reduce the tax because you look everybody in the eye and say, everybody benefits. Everybody sees their taxes down.
Right.
Billionaires, middle income people, everybody gets the same. You go from 4 to 3.5, everybody. And then that makes it easier than trigger down to 0. So Arkansas is a lot of your governor and the leadership are looking to phase down to 0 on an automatic basis. Next door, Mississippi has voted. They've passed a law that'll take them to 0 without doing anything else in the future. Same thing with Oklahoma. Missouri, the governor there was most recently elected with a commitment to go to 0, and they're putting a measure on the ballot to do that this fall with the support of the governor, the House, and the Senate. Tennessee finally became a no-income tax state a few years ago when they got rid of the Hall tax. They didn't used to tax wages, but they would tax your life savings, dividends, and interest. They went to 0 with that. So they're a true no-income tax state, Tennessee, now. So Kansas is triggering down to 4% to go to a flat rate tax. So all the surrounding states are looking to go to 0, and which is a good reason for Arkansas to decide now, not next year or 2 years from now, and announce we're going to 0. Here's how it works. Now they've been approaching 0, lots of tax cuts. The governor's been supportive of tax cut after tax cut, but there hasn't yet been we are officially going to 0. Here's the bill that will take us to 0. Unless somebody comes in and stops it, we're going to go to 0. That's what businesses want to know, because you don't build a factory for the next 3 weeks or 3 years or even 20 years. You build a factory, a building, a life in Arkansas because you expect to be there for decades and decades and decades. And you'd like your children to be able to stay in Arkansas and not move to a no tax state.
Yeah. So, I mean, Ryan, you're working, the ground here in Arkansas. Is it picking up? Is this picking up steam now amongst legislators?
Yeah, I mean, we had an event yesterday, and we had over a dozen legislators there. Now, to put this in context, we're not in a session, and it's Arkansas Legislative Council week, and so not everyone is in town. But we have had multiple meetings, multiple events where lawmakers have come in. We're over 40 now that have signed up to say, I agree with phasing out the Arkansas state income tax. That's a significant portion of 135. We're moving the ball further. We know the governor has come out on social media and even via Secretary Hudson of the Department of Finance Administration saying that this is a goal of theirs. And we are very supportive of that. The governor's done great work. I think had 4 cuts under her first term, and they're looking to do even more. This year, it's looking likely that there would be a special session to address this. We are in agreement on cuts, but as Grover has pointed out, there is an urgency to have a stronger signal from Arkansas that we are committed to zeroing out the income tax over the long term, or hopefully short to medium term, actually. And I think there is more and more voices in the legislature who are starting to grasp the concept of how this would work, that there is safety valves along the way, that if the revenues are not there to cut because of the economic downturn, whatever, then you don't cut that go around. You retool, drop back, retool, and go back at it again until you have those reserves. But what I love about this idea is that your personal prosperity and your business prosperity will help contribute to letting you keep more of your prosperity over time. You get to keep more of your earnings. As Arkansas is successful, more money goes back into the people's pockets. And that is a motivation to do more, to make more, to add more value to your state. And so it's growing. And there's a polling that we just recently conducted among Republican voters, 18 to 60, working age, citizens, and 70% are saying that they agree with the phase out. And it's even higher when we polled veterans and military families. It's like 77% saying that, yes, this would help military families that are active duty and veterans businesses. Concerned Veterans for America is working with us right now on this issue. And he brought up an interesting point. Veterans are less than 2% of the population signs up, volunteers to be a citizen soldier,
Mhm.
but 5% of businesses are veteran-owned or veteran-led businesses. And so it is important to understand that veterans see prosperity for themselves individually, but also for their businesses to be able to grow and to scale if we set up the right tax environment, which for us is a zero tax environment.
Grover, have we won the philosophical debate on this? Are people saying, yeah, income tax, bad?
We have with the American people, if you look at polling data, we have with the American people, if you look at the census data, how many people live in California, how many used to live in California. People are moving from high tax states to low tax states. I always get a kick out of listening to our friends on the left explain, oh no, see, people are leaving California and moving to Texas for the weather. That's what it is. These are people who've never been to California. Nobody leaves California because of the weather.
The weather's perfect in California.
You leave California despite the weather.
Yeah.
And nobody moves to Texas because of the weather either, ever. Great state, just not the place to be if you were choosing your weather. And we are seeing people leaving the states, New York, California, and moving to the zero income tax states and states that are committed to zero income tax. The most recent state to commit to zero income and to pass a law that will take them there automatically is South Carolina. And so North Carolina is on track to go to 2.49 because Arizona went to 2.5. So they're competing with Arizona.
Sure.
And then they'll go on to zero. But this really is a competition between the 50 states. There are a number of states that are in such bad shape: California, Washington, Vermont, Minnesota, where they just throw up New York. They just throw up their hands and demand more blood, more money out of, more blood out of the turnip, more money out of people who can't afford it because they don't know how to back up.
Mhm.
Their people know that, and the politicians know this isn't the way to do it, which is why they try and sneak it in quietly when you're not looking. Oh, it's a tax on other people, not you.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of interesting because I've watched the argument change over time. It used to be you talked about getting rid of the income tax, and it was a very loud argument that would come from the left. Kind of a whimper now.
When you compare Florida to New York, the two states, New York spends twice as much money as Florida does. And they're roughly twice as many, roughly the same number of people, actually more people in Florida now, but twice as much per capita is spent by the government in New York. Their roads aren't better. Their education isn't better. There's nothing, the services they talk about. If people liked the services, they would move to New York.
Yeah, you're right.
But they leave New York. So the services, quotation marks here, air quotes that they talk about is their self-justification for a workforce that works fewer hours in the day, fewer days in the month, fewer years in a lifetime, and then gets a pension that nobody in the real world ever sees. That's what you're paying for when you're, and again, the reason they don't need income tax in Florida is they don't spend that $115 billion more.
But we also have, I lived in Florida the last 5 years, and we also
in
had
Arkansas, Dave, we are
taxes.
a net in-migration state, and our friends at National Taxpayers Union has run analysis on this and said just in 2025, the net in-migration, people moving into Arkansas, has had around a $68 million economic impact on the state as a result. And so this goes to your point about the philosophical argument was, should we do this?
Yep.
And now it's, can we do this? And now we're even moving further into,
we must do this.
Yes. And how shall we do this
But-
is now the conversation that I've seen kind of change in Arkansas from should we to can we to how now will we put that package together.
Well, and that's my point, though, because opposition's going to say, because I've lived in Florida and we have tourists that pay for a lot of these taxes, a lot. There's 3 different taxes. But with this eliminating the state income tax in a state like Arkansas, where there's not a lot of major tourism, so you either have to cut something or that's going to
Not
be
a bad thing.
No, not at all. So what would be cut though? What would be cut in something like that? And if nothing's cut, where does that revenue get replaced from? Because it's got to come from somewhere if you're not cutting it.
This is why the reduction in the income tax is not overnight. It's not tomorrow gone, but reducing it over time. And that is the way you save money in the states that are phasing their income tax down. And Iowa's gone from 8.6% top rate down to 3.8% flat. Iowa, their corporate income tax went from 12 down to 7. And they did this without, they simply slowed the growth of government. They didn't cut total spending. They said instead of growing 5% a year, we'll go 3%.
Instead of increasing the budget,
And
they decreased it.
over time, that's such a big deal that you can replace, any state could replace its income tax if they grew no faster than inflation plus the population. So the government doesn't get a bigger piece of you.
Right.
Okay. If you simply did that for 20 years, every state could go to zero.
All right.
That's
but you
awesome.
can do it faster than that by being a little more aggressive and
That's
not
probably the
giving the
best
state
explanation I've
every
heard.
extra penny.
That's the best one I've heard.
No,
yet.
I'm always looking for lowering taxes and making cuts to the government because everybody knows how I feel about government. I mean, $3.5 billion in waste, they think, in California alone. And what are they getting that money from? They're getting it from government programs. They're getting fleeced. All right, let's take a break. We'll be back in a moment. Dave Elswick Show.
If your investments are in a 401k or an IRA, then listen carefully. You spent 30, maybe 40 years building your retirement. The question is, are you about to watch it take a hit you can't recover from? Military escalation in Iran, tariffs and legal chaos, the U.S. dollar under pressure it hasn't seen in years. History is clear. When this much uncertainty hits at once, the investors who moved into gold and silver first came out ahead. Right now, Advantage Gold is offering a free gold investment kit and a free copy of economist Ken Rogoff's powerful new book, Our Dollar, Your Problem. Call Advantage Gold now at 800-900-8000. Thousands of Americans have already rolled over a portion of their 401k or IRA into physical gold and silver, completely tax and penalty free through Advantage Gold. Don't wait for the next surge to wish you had moved sooner. Results vary. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000.
This is 101.1, The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk. Start your day with Dave Elswick in the morning, breaking down the stories shaping Arkansas and the nation and hearing what you have to say. Then in the afternoon, join Doc Washburn as he takes on the biggest headlines, asks the tough questions, and opens the phones for real conversation. Because on 101.1, The Answer, talk radio means your voice matters. Call in, sound off, be a part of the discussion at 501-401-1011. Plus, hear from some of the biggest names in talk radio. CNN's Scott Jennings, Mike Gallagher, Larry Elder, bringing you smart analysis, strong opinions, and the debate everyone's talking about. Local voices, national perspective, and your chance to be heard. 501-401-1011. 101.1, The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk. This is 101.1, The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk. Start your morning with a voice you know and trust. Dave Elswick, bringing you the issues that matter to Arkansas, the news behind the headlines, and conversations you won't hear anywhere else. Then in the afternoon, stay informed and fired up with Doc Washburn, breaking down the biggest stories of the day and what they mean for you. And all day long, hear from some of the biggest voices in talk radio. CNN's Scott Jennings, Mike Gallagher, and Larry Elder, bringing you sharp insight, lively debate, and the perspective you've been looking for. News, opinion, insight, and the conversations shaping our community. From Little Rock to the natural state and beyond. This is 101.1, The Answer. 101.1, The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk. Now, back to the Dave Elswick Show, 101.1, The Answer.
I also wanted to say it's the Dave Elswick Show that answers the important questions. Like during spring break, when you have these problems in Florida where people are pulling out guns and shooting at each other, you have to ask your question, where are the women concealed carrying at? With those little tiny bathing suits that they have on. There's micro guns now. We just don't know about. I'm just telling you, Val. It's a big business now.
2 million people with concealed carry permits in Florida now.
Yeah,
we don't even have to. They have constitutional carry now because they reversed the law last year that kept people from open carrying. So you can open carry in Florida now as well. That's
where my Old Testament prophet friend from my Monday show needs to. No, not Nick Horton. Paul.
Oh.
We need Paul to go.
Oh, I thought you meant.
We need him
Florida.
to move to Florida because he'd strap an AR-15 to the front of him.
Hard telling what Paul would do.
And open carry. It would be funny. I would get a kick out
Hey,
of
Grover,
that.
I'm curious. How do you feel about the flat tax, consumption tax, whatever you want to call it? How do you feel about moving towards that concept in general? Like a flat tax or a consumption tax? How do you feel about that kind of tax system? Like maybe for the future, like that way everyone's paying their fair share.
You talking about the federal level or state?
Yes, sorry.
Federal level, I'm focused mostly on reducing the taxes that exist now. I worry a little bit about too much focus on shifting from one thing to another because Democrats will endlessly play a shell game with us. Oh, we can move the tax. We won't reduce it. We'll move it over to someplace else.
And they don't even like walnuts.
And they do it in your face. They don't even care.
Well, and the other challenge is they hide the taxes. The corporate income tax is designed to hide the tax. Corporations don't pay taxes. As everybody knows, when you go to the grocery store and you buy a potato, you are paying the corporate income tax for that grocery store. They don't have money from anybody other than consumers. Or they can reduce the wages of workers.
Right.
And some economists think it's mostly on consumers, but also heavily on workers, that they get paid less as a result. I would like to see those taxes more visible and so that people have an understanding. Politicians love the corporate income tax and they say, oh, you're not going to pay it. And the other one is, oh, we're only going to tax dividends and interest. 60% of Americans now own shares of stock directly. And so when you have taxes on quote unquote capital, you're taxing the life savings of many Americans.
And the inflation's going out the roof, so they're not going to have anything.
And now with the Trump accounts, where every parent can put up to $5,000 per year for each child that's under the age of.
We need to learn more about that, I think.
I'll give you real quick.
Okay.
Until somebody's 18, you can put $5,000 per child into that person's account. The federal government will put $1,000 in the year the child is born. Okay, they're going to do that for 4 years. That's to get everybody into the process. They're coming in at hundreds of thousands a day. People are setting up. You have to set your own up. Very difficult to have any fraud because the bank has your information. Right. Everybody has your information.
Everyone's like, it's from the government. I was like, no, you have to go and set that up yourself at the bank.
Yes, and so it's trumpaccounts.gov.
So it's not like Social Security where the government's managing it. I think that's not
the government. And Social Security, the government took your money and they cannot find it for you anymore. It's not just managing; it's took.
I like that word. Took.
This is your money. It's not going anywhere. It's your child's money. Flash forward 30, 40 years, when everybody who turns 18 has several $1,000s in the bank, invested in the stock market. And they've seen that go up. They've seen it go down. They know what makes it. This is an educated collection of 18-year-olds that will know more about economics than most congressmen do.
Well, yeah, because like when you give I gave my children a bank account at 16. If you're giving them this account that they don't get access to, but they get to watch it and learn how to do it, I think it's the most fabulous idea. And I think we need to talk more about that for the future of our kids.
Well, like I've always said, I moan on the air about I didn't have the opportunities that young people have today.
They don't take advantage of
to
them.
be able to invest the way that they can today. I wouldn't be worrying about Social Security. If they just give me all that money, I could turn around and do something with it.
He'd be a millionaire by now.
Right?
Yeah, we're out of time, and that means I got to let Grover run. I'd like to keep him here, but he's got things to do. And
You can hold him hostage.
Americans for Tax Reform, ATR.com, is that right?
ATR.org.
.org. All right, you go check that out, and you'll understand a lot more about how taxation works just reading what they have on their website than you knew before you went to their website. And I'll see you in 2 weeks, sir.
2 weeks, yep, in D.C. next week.
Okay, we'll find out what's going on in D.C. from you as well. All right, back with you. It's just me in the next hour, and then Enrico will give us an update on what's happening in the Middle East.
This is the Dave Elswick Show. Find us at 1011FMTheAnswer.com. Download our apps, stream us 24/7, or watch us at snc.tv. KDXE, Kamek Village, Little Rock.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Republican Senator Mark Wayne Mullins' nomination for Homeland Security Secretary now headed to the full Senate for consideration, having been advanced by a Senate committee a short time ago. The nomination, subject of an occasionally contentious confirmation hearing before the Homeland Security Committee just yesterday. If you fear the U.S. is getting dragged into another forever war, this time in the Mideast, War Secretary Hegseth says you can put those fears to rest.
Epic Fury is different. It's laser focused. It's decisive. Our objectives, given directly from our America First president, remain exactly what they were on day one. These are not the media's objectives, not Iran's objectives, not new objectives, our objectives, unchanged, on target, and on plan.
In his morning Pentagon briefing, to quote Hegseth, today will be the largest strike package yet, just like yesterday was. He says our capabilities continue to build, Iran's continue to degrade. Operation Epic Fury is now 20 days old. President Trump threatens Iran with dire consequences if it launches more attacks on a liquefied natural gas facility in Qatar. The president's threat follows an Israeli strike on Iran's South Pars natural gas field and Iran's response. Oil prices continue to rise, fueling an ongoing increase in gasoline prices, both here at home and abroad. Brent crude nearing $115 per barrel. Gas prices now averaging $3.88 a gallon nationally, and that is up 4 cents from yesterday. Democrats' continuing refusal to fund the Transportation Security Administration seriously snarling air travel as airport screeners who are not getting paid are not showing up for work. The Dow down 215 points, NASDAQ off 142. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Hey, I'm Kirk Cameron. Is health insurance eating up your budget for 2026? If you're looking for ways to better steward your finances, consider this: Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's a health insurance alternative at half the cost. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. While insurance companies tell you when to join, what to pay, and where to go, CHM is different. As a ministry, CHM allows you to share the burden of medical bills with other Christians. You can enroll, switch programs, or leave at any time. Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's a world of difference. CHM has 4 flexible programs. You can pick any certified doctor, surgeon, or hospital that you want for eligible care. So make the switch. Take your paycheck back from health insurance this year. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. That's chministries.org/wellness.
Rescued from the ravages of war in the Mideast.
Greece launched an animal airlift to evacuate pets and their owners from the Middle East. There were emotional scenes at Athens airport as small dogs leaped for joy after being let out of their special travel carry case. They were stuck because of the war. Nicholas Chrysakis, director of the Greek Secretariat for the Protection of Companion Animals, says our animals are not luggage.
To me, my pet, my cat is my family. There's no chance I'm going to leave him behind.
Danny Kuko Lamati says her cat was pretty calm through it all.
They don't accept pets because of the situation. They don't accept pets in cabin, and they didn't accept pets in cargo.
The government organized flights from Abu Dhabi to Athens carried 45 pets and 101 people. I'm Ed Donahue.
Heavy rain, strong winds overnight killed at least 15 people, several others injured in Karachi, Pakistan. News and analysis, townhall.com. One Texas city is closing in on emergency water restrictions with trouble just around the corner.
Leaders in Corpus Christi say reservoirs are dropping and demand keeps rising. Authorities say there are two scenarios that could trigger a level 1 water emergency by May. Now, the city does not have a plan for how to curtail water use in case of emergency, and forecasters expect little, if any, rain from July through September. City Council has voted to push ahead with major well projects, even without permits. Jason Walker reporting.
A tiny Southern California desert community has tied the highest March temperature ever recorded in the U.S. A 108-degree day in North Shore, California, came amid a record-breaking winter heat wave gripping the Southwest. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Something big is happening, and you need to be in the know. Operation Epic Fury is here, and the only place to get all the details. Stay tuned and listen closely for updates on Operation Epic Fury on 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk. Don't miss out on the latest news. Operation Epic Fury is here, and we're giving you the inside information. Make sure you're listening for all the details on Operation Epic Fury, right here on 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk.
Ari's good to have Grover Washington in here to talk to us. Great guy, he really is.
Yep.
I've been involved with the Americans for Tax Reform for 40 years since it started. You know.
That logo is, everyone knows that logo.
Yeah. And, Grover has always been kind to me and would come on when I would ask him to, because I'm just telling you, he can break down what all these taxes, how they got them passed and all kinds of stuff.
Well, I always ask that question of and he explained it better than anybody ever.
Well, see, my answer,
what's going to happen to, over time,
here's my
you'll delete.
answer. Yeah. Well, here's my answer from the left that says, well, we've got to replace that money somewhere. And I go, why?
Right.
Why? Why do you got to replace it? I mean, look, Governor Huckabee, the now ambassador to Israel, he and I didn't agree on taxes. I was the one trying to get rid of the food tax. He was the one who was trying to keep it going. And
you know what makes me mad about that one, though, Dave?
What's that?
Is that they took it away, and then the cities just picked it up, and it's the same.
Well, yeah, they do it.
But and that's really irritating. I'd rather my money go to the state than the city. But the city isn't doing anything. They haven't.
But
They
that's
don't potholes. They don't
that's
fix
where
nothing.
you got to vote. All right, you have to vote. You got to get the same kind of people into city government as you do in the state government and in the federal
they're
government.
buddy these guys.
Oh yeah.
Frank Scott.
Oh yeah.
Horrible.
Oh.
Horrible. We thought what's his face was bad.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about
I can't remember his name now. And then Richards.
I can take it. I can go all the way back in for the city with Jello Jim.
Stevens.
No. Jim. Can't think of his last name right now. Bottom line, he didn't
Daly.
know what
Daly.
No.
Wasn't Daly?
Yeah,
Jim Daly.
Jim Daly.
Yeah, Jim Daly.
Yeah, we called him Jello Jim because when you'd ask him a question to get an answer, it was like trying to nail Jello to a wall.
That's bad. I can't even remember who the mayor
Well, look, I've been around so long now, it's all water under the bridge anymore.
Right?
It really is. And I may not know the names, but I know the games that they played. As far as that, I know that we tried
Mark Stodola.
We tried to get rid of the food tax.
Stodola, that's who it was.
We couldn't get a Republican to get rid of the food tax. It had to be Beebe. Beebe was the first one to really get into it, and I commended him for it, because everybody else told me, you get rid of the food tax, Dave, we'll become a third world state. And we did a white paper. Carl Kimball and I presented to the governor a white paper a white paper is nothing more than a piece that's written about something that gives you all the facts and figures so you can make a decision on it. That showed that tax revenue would go up if you got rid of the tax. And you know what? Ever since the food tax was disappearing in Arkansas, revenues have gone up. They've never gone down. That tells you something right there. If you want more of something,
maybe that's because the
tax
cities.
it.
That's because the cities are reaping in all these, because they doubled. Literally, the groceries 10% still. You're still getting taxed, but it's just by the city that you live in. And
again,
so maybe they're not getting that money back
that
from the state. So that's why revenue's gone down.
Here's the gig. You got to get those people out of office.
Yep.
I won't accept that argument that the people are getting screwed through the local governments, because you got to treat them the same way you do the state government. You got to take away their money. That's the only way you take away a power over you, is to take away their money. And you can do that. All right. I wanted to talk about Americans for Prosperity because while he was here, I've got the pathway to zero state income tax. This is a printout from AFP, and it's a poll that they did with people. And 63% of respondents say they are concerned about the amount of Arkansas state income tax paid by working families. 42% are very concerned. 21% somewhat concerned. Look, it should be, 100% very concerned, because they're taking your money from you. Why would you willingly allow somebody to take your money from you? I've never voted on a tax to be put into place.
Mm-mm.
I don't do that.
Why would you vote for a tax?
Why do you vote to give people
are dumb.
money? 80% say phasing out the state income tax would help working families keep more of what they earn. Of course it would. 51% say it would make a significant difference. I mean, when you look at your paycheck, if you didn't have, state income tax going out of it, how much money extra would you have for a paycheck? Maybe $100, $100 every 2 weeks, $200 a month over 12 months. It's $24,000. That adds up to a lot of money, at least a lot of money as far as I'm concerned. 70% support eliminating the Arkansas state income tax over time, compared to just 16% opposed to it. And this is from people that look at the income tax and live here in Arkansas.
Going back to the city tax thing, did you know? So you know how liberals are raising this big old stink about food stamps not covering candy, sugary drinks, and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
If you look, people don't realize this. The city, at least here in Arkansas, Pulaski, a lot of cities, they have a 2% tax on your groceries, right?
Okay.
For the city. But then they tax soda, sugary drinks, all those things at 9.5%.
Yeah. Yeah,
because they don't consider those groceries.
Yeah,
and that's been happening for a long time.
Oh yeah.
So, but people are, and that's a liberal mayor.
Hey, we've had a soda tax.
Yes.
In the state of Arkansas since I got here in 2000.
A sin tax.
You know,
basically.
You got that. Well, yeah, that's, you know,
it's kind of like that.
Sugar is like a sin.
Mm-hmm. But how are you going to sit there and be okay with that from a liberal mayor down the line? Because it's all, we've never had a conservative mayor here, I don't think.
We don't have time to get into that discussion.
I'm just saying that's people are just crazy. Like they don't know. It's because they're ill-informed.
Well, look, I know that people were informed about Frank Scott. All right. I believe he's a corrupt politician.
Oh, I do too. He worked under BB as his health LA. He wasn't cut out to be a mayor.
As far as that, you had the, you know, all the credit cards that were used when he had his first term in office and that nobody would pay attention to. They were stealing money. I mean, that's exactly what they were doing. If we had a Doge committee here in the state and they started looking at the cities of Arkansas,
that's what they did in Florida. They need to do it here.
You would be amazed at the amount of money that's being stolen from
Pulaski special. Oh, all these grants and things he gets, all the money goes in Southwest Little Rock. Ain't nobody want to go over there and get shot. Like, but you're building up Southwest Little Rock? Like, I don't understand that. Well, you drive out to Chenal to eat a nice dinner and it's like, don't. You hit potholes every 5 seconds. Oh, pothole level, I'm an ace dodger.
I'm just telling you, Val sings out of my choir book. It's great stuff. It really
aggravates me, man. And then you call and you're like, because, you know, the roads have been that way, like over on Van Buren, over by the old offices. You know, Van Buren there where it goes around the corner. It's like you go around that curve and you're like, like you literally, because of the bumps, you literally slide sideways.
Yeah.
And it was like that for years. So last winter I called and I was like, when was the last time y'all plan, or when do you plan on paving this road? Oh, well, we just don't have any money in the budget.
Yeah.
How do you not have money in the budget?
Was it a city street or was it a county street?
City.
Okay.
Over by Mount Mary's, Mount St. Mary's.
Okay. So the bottom line is, you know, street situation is a convoluted one because if it's a county street, it's taken care of by the Pulaski County judge, who was Valines for many, many years. And, you know,
I remember you. He was your favorite person.
Yeah, I wasn't a big Valines person. I still am irritated by the bridge over Broadway.
Ignorant.
The way that he got that money was to say, well, we're going to name it after the veterans. And to the day I die, I'll make the statement that I've always made about that. I didn't put on the uniform of the Air Force
to get named a bridge after.
Have a bridge named after my group of people. No.
Well, you know, when I ran for Justice of the Peace, that was my thing. I wanted to put, because do you know there's a ferry tax here in the state too? There's no ferry. Where do you see a ferry?
Everything is.
But I wanted to take that money and build a bridge out in West Little Rock, like out by Pinnacle, because you got people over in Maumelle driving all the way down. They get on the highway and they drive all the way out to the ranch, right? And then they get on their car to drive home because they work out there and do it all. They're literally driving twice as much as they should.
Right.
Every day and clogging up traffic. I'm sorry, the downtown traffic is not even as bad as it is out on Cantrell at 4:30. It's unreal. And that was my thing. I wanted to put a bridge out there instead of 3 bridges downtown.
Yeah.
But no, people didn't like that.
Yeah, well, I don't know how much it was. They didn't like it as it was that most of them don't understand how it all works.
But they understand how much gas they got to put in their car now, though, don't they? Because if it would have been my bridge there, they wouldn't be spending double in gas every week.
You had the minority vote that went to Frank Scott, and then you had the white folks that felt guilty about prejudice and said that they were racist, so they had to pay more money.
Stupid.
Yeah, it was. It is. But it is the way it is, and the whole thing about the city and what that they do to tax will not stop until the people of Little Rock said enough is enough and put a stop to it. Now they haven't. I will give them credit. Every time a tax increase from Frank Scott has been suggested here
They do vote
recently,
it down.
they keep voting it down.
So prove to me you're doing what we need to do with the money that
Yeah,
we give you
well,
already.
As I've always said, a mayor, a governor, even the president of the United States knows how much money is coming in. You have to take care of that money to meet the needs of your constituents and the voters. You shouldn't have to ask for more money.
You don't run up your bills at home and go ask your boss and be like, can I get a raise because I overextended myself.
They don't ask if they can have a raise. They look at their boss and say, you got to give me a raise.
Right.
You know,
because I overextended myself.
Spend too much.
Right.
And
I don't know how to
the key.
budget.
That's just the way. It's the way it is. I mean, what can I say? It's just the way it is. It's been that way ever since I got to Little Rock.
It's infuriating.
And into the state, although we have cut taxes extensively since we've had Republican governors back to back.
Did you know also that, speaking of roads, that there's a fund that will pay you to repair your ball joints and stuff like that if you go over the road and you can prove that it was from the roads?
Oh, yeah, I knew about all
So
that.
how much money do we spend? And I'm curious to know how much money we give to people for that every year.
I looked for getting some money from the state because I destroyed 2 brand new tires when they were working on 67 167 at the first exit there. And if you got off the road by a little bit, there were holes that were 2.5 feet deep.
What was that, 4 years of construction?
Yeah, and just destroyed my tires. And I asked for reimbursement, and they said, "No, we don't have the money to do that."
That's unreal.
That's just the way. That's the way it works. It is definitely.
We'll drag this out, but
works.
people will pay for it, not us.
Well, it always. Look, the taxpayer is going to pay it unless he takes it all under control. I remember when Charlie, I'm trying to think Charlie's last name, the House member, who fought
I know who you're talking about.
so valiantly for gun rights.
Charlie, I know you're talking tall.
Yeah.
I know who you're talking about.
Okay, he works in the financial offices now. And I remember him arguing with me about taxes, and he said to me, he says, "Well, how much do you think we should cut of the budget?" And I looked at him and I said, "I think a good starting point is 10%.
Charlie Collins.
Yeah.
Love Charlie.
And I thought that he was going to have a coronary right there in front of me. I mean, he did everything but clutch his chest when you can't do that. No, it wouldn't. And now we've already shown that you can cut, we've cut about 8%.
It's because it was a steep hill.
Yeah, well, they were taxing the living crap out of everybody. That's what when they come back to you and they say, "Hey, we had a surplus." When they say that, they should have to be honest with you and tell you, "We taxed you too much."
Right. That's not a surplus. It's not a business.
That's right.
It's your money.
That's correct. It's the
We're sitting on your
taxpayer
money while you're broke and eating on ramen noodles. I mean, I'm just, a lot of people are, but
a lot of people will remember when I had Marion Barry on.
I'm sorry. I know I was a Democrat back then. I loved Marion Barry though.
Up there,
he was funny
in District 1.
Yep, Jonesboro. I used to know him. I used to come in Holiday Inn all the time.
And it was when the federal government had a surplus, and I was asking.
Is that when Bush was?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was asking about the surplus and what we should be doing about it. Of course, I was hoping he would say that the taxpayer should be given back the money that they were overtaxed for. But that's not what happened. And when I had Marion Barry on, I said, "Well, what do you think should happen?" He gave me about 8 different new programs that he could spend all that money on.
Mm-mm-mm.
And, that just explained to everybody how they look at it as being their money and not
It's birthday money.
your money. That's the way it goes. Okay, we're late. We got to get a break in.
Mhm.
All right, let's do that. And then we'll have news bottom of the hour. Enrico's coming up at the top of the hour. He's going to give us an update about what's going on with Iran and Israel and the United States and all the rest about with Operation Fury over there in the Middle East. All that's coming up here on the Dave Elswick Show.
If you can't afford to pay your IRS debt due to economic hardship, you can now be free of IRS collection efforts by taking advantage of a special IRS tax hardship program. This program allows Americans who owe the IRS to resolve their delinquent tax debt once and for all. In some cases, maybe even reducing what you owe significantly. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Simply dial 800-215-8608. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back or have years of unfiled tax returns, help is standing by. Just call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-215-8608 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-215-8608 to see if you qualify. That's 800-215-8608.
Did you hear Congressman French Hill on the Dave Elswick Show?
Needs to make sure that Iran does not have an active ballistic missile threat to the region, and they end their nuclear program and they stop funding terror proxies. And this is from one of their across the Persian Gulf neighbors, the UAE, and that's exactly the kind of response we need. And I think Trump right to be irritated with NATO. I mean, America.
I agree.
Immediately, we came immediately to the defense of Ukraine, which there's no question about it. And you and I are in full agreement on that Russia should not take Ukraine.
No.
And I agree with it. However, we replumbed the entire oil and gas industry to benefit Europe because of Russia's illegal, murderous invasion of Ukraine. And here, Europe and all around the world is dependent on the Straits of Hormuz and Persian Gulf oil production. Therefore, it's logical then that NATO and other American allies would, be supportive.
Don't miss Congressman Hill, Wednesday mornings at 7 on the Dave Elswick Show, 101.1. The Answer. Chris DeGaulle believes what he sees.
I can't say, gee, I don't want an impact on oil prices for 3 to 4 weeks, 2 months, and let Iran have a nuclear weapon and let them blow up the Middle East and beyond. I have to do what's right. I believe him. I think he's that consequential. History will be the judge, but I believe him when he says, I had to do what was right.
The Chris DeGaulle Show, weekday mornings at 6, right before Dave Elswick at 7 on 101.1. The Answer. The Dave Elswick Show is back. 101.1. The Answer.
All right, back with you here on the Dave Elswick Show. I apologize if my voice sounds a little rough today. It's my allergies have kicked in royally with all of the oak trees producing all of the pollen that they produce, and it bothers me. I take antihistamines. I buy them by the 2000s, and by the end of the year, I'll have gone through a whole container of them. It's just, it's bad here in Arkansas. Arkansas is number 2 in the country as far as allergens go. You want to go where there's no allergens for the base, and basically go to Arizona. Arizona doesn't have a lot of that stuff. That's why you can breathe when you're in Arizona. Okay,
The sandstorm in Arizona, though.
No, they got a sandstorm going on.
Oh, I was there one time and we were at this resort. It was like the sanctuary there in Arizona, and all of a sudden, everyone was like, get inside, get inside. They were all the employees are like, get inside. And we're watching out this big window, this big glass window, and just a sandstorm just engulfed the whole area. It was crazy. They're like, yeah, you don't want to be outside for that.
Yeah, you get sand blasted.
Mm-hmm. That was crazy.
Which is not fun.
No.
To say the least.
Speaking of blasted, did you see this article I sent you a while ago about Huckabee Sanders getting asked to leave a restaurant here in Little Rock?
No.
So a routine lunch outing apparently turned into a moment of controversy for her last week at a local Little Rock restaurant, sparking national attention and a conversation about civility, politics, and public life. Remember, she was also asked to leave in a DC restaurant one time when she was working as the press secretary for Trump. But
well, that was
Democrats, yeah.
Whenever, you saw.
I don't know.
A Republican, you should go after,
right,
and that's
right,
what
right.
happened.
But last week, she said she was having lunch with 2 other moms at a restaurant when the owner approached a member of the state police executive protection detail and said her presence made their employees feel threatened and told us to leave, Sanders said. The incident occurred Friday, March 13th at the Croissantiere, I think that's how you say it, Croissantiere, a popular eatery in the city. The governor, accompanied by her state police executive protection detail, had been seated with friends for about an hour and 15 minutes. According to her administration, the group had paid for their meals and tipped the staff before the situation escalated. So basically, they took their money and then
because
asked them
they
to
were
leave.
Republicans.
Well, I mean, I wanted to add, when I was waiting tables, I wanted to ask people to get up and leave too if they were just sitting there after they already ate. But the restaurant's owner reportedly asked the governor to leave, citing concerns that her presence made employees threatened.
We'll pick this up after the news because the news is now.
Right.
Rich Thomason in Washington. President Trump is threatening Iran's energy infrastructure following its latest strikes on its Gulf Arab neighbors. Saudi Arabia says damage assessment is underway after a drone strike on its Samrat refinery at a Red Sea port. $3.88 a gallon, AAA's national average for gasoline as of this morning, and that's up 4 cents a gallon since degrees.
Bills are Christians. You can enroll in Swift programs or leave at any time. Christian Healthcare Ministries. CHM has 4 flex programs. You can pick any certified doctor, surgeon, that you want for eligible care. So make the switch. Take your paycheck back from join CHM today. Visit chministries.org/wellness. That's chministries.org.
1.1 The X with you everywhere. You can download the 101.1 Answer app and stay connected with the voices you trust, live and on demand. Wake up with Dave Elswick, Stay Sharp with Doc Washburn, and hear from national voices like Scott Jennings, Hugh Insight, National Perspective, all one place. On 101. Stream us live anywhere.
Listening. You. Perhaps it's time to do for yourself what you would do for others.
If you or someone you know needs resources, whether it's for stress, finances, employment, or mental health, don't wait. Reach out.
Find more information at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans, the Ad Council.
Back with you here on the Dave Elswick Show. We apologize for the technical difficulty. I think that we're having some sunspot activity, and that's causing our connection to do what it was just doing. So it makes for a
Like we're talking to
a
robots.
rough day. Yeah, it's crazy that's happening. It happens just about the same time every year. So as we get in, as the atmosphere begins to warm, you have this problem. Well, after months of stalling it out, the debate on the SAVE Act has finally begun in the Senate. According to The Hill, tempers are starting to boil within the Senate Republican conference as disagreements arise over how to handle President Trump's number one legislative priority, the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act, which Trump wants to push through the Senate despite staunch Democratic opposition. Senator Mike Lee of Utah, a leading proponent of the bill, angered some colleagues this week by suggesting on social media that Republican senators who don't want to force Democrats to wage a, quote, talking filibuster to oppose the legislation should be ousted from the Senate. Quote, if your senators don't support using the talking filibuster to pass the Save American Act, you might need to replace them, Lee posted on the social platform X. Well, that ticked off some Republican senators, according to the Senate GOP sources. The Republicans who oppose the bill are all unsurprisingly not fans of Trump. They don't support the president wholeheartedly. If you do, and you've got a senator like that, it would behoove you to, send them an email or send them a text and say, support the president or lose my vote. I mean, that basically, if enough of them get that message, they will do what they're supposed to do, which is make sure that what the president wants to get done gets done. I'm going to have Val contact John Thune's office and see if he can, cut out 15 minutes for us and talk about what's going on in the Senate about all of this stuff. So kind of find out what's happening. Well, Iran's intelligence chief no longer is among the living. Another one bites the dust. Israel and the U.S. have scored another surprise on Iran's military establishment. Will enough of these force it into collapse as its rank and file gets the message? Just a day after killing Iran's de facto regime leader, Ali Larijani, master of its security apparatus, the IDF took out the regime's eyes and ears intelligence minister, and that's Ismail Khalib, who died in a targeted airstrike just a few hours ago. Israel's defense minister announced and pledged that more targeted strikes would come in Iran and Lebanon. The defense minister of the IDF says Iran's intelligence minister was killed in an Israeli airstrike in Tehran overnight, adding that significant surprises are expected today. On this day, significant surprises are expected across all areas that will escalate the war we are conducting against Iran and Hezbollah in Lebanon. his remarks provided by his office. The intensity of the strikes in Iran is increasing. The Iranian intelligence minister was also eliminated overnight, he said. So know that the operation is working, and it's working well. Keep that in mind. Well, when I was in high school, Cesar Chavez was looked on as an upstanding, great member of the group of people that was trying to take care of immigration out in California and the seasonal pickers that came in from Mexico to pick lettuce and things of that nature. And now you get the problem where the heroes of the left turn out to be sex criminals. JFK was a pimp and a racist while he was president. Bill Clinton sexually harassed women. Teddy Kennedy was a drunk who killed a woman that he was seducing. And now, Cesar Chavez turns out to be a rapist of young women. In a story from the New York Times, this doesn't come from a publication that's a conservative publication. This is the Gray Lady herself. Anna remembers the day the man she had regarded as a hero called her house and summoned her to see him. She walked along a dirt trail, entered the rundown building, passed his secretary, and stepped into his office. He locked the door, as he always did when he called her, and told her how lonely he had been. He brought her into the office and then had put out a yoga mat that he often used in his office for meditation, kissed her, and pulled her pants down. Quote, "Don't tell anyone," he told her afterwards. They'd get jealous. The man, and that's Cesar Chavez, one of the most revered figures in the Latino civil rights movement, was 45. She was 13. Anna said she was summoned for sexual encounters with him dozens of times over the next 4 years. And the Times have done the background investigation on this, and it was true. And there's some places now where they have statues of Cesar up that they've now covered with dark cloth so that you can't see them. What would you call an aid convoy featuring leftist stars like Greta Thunberg, Harrison Piker, Jeremy Corbyn, the Democratic Socialists of America, and various flavors of communist parties? Well, aside from idiots, that is. I mean, the Nostra American Convoy apparently is out there, and they're bringing aid to Cuba. The Havana Times reporting that the flotilla, now called the Nostra American Convoy to Cuba, is promoted by the Progressive International, a movement that emerged in 2020 to unite left-wing sectors around the world. Its advisory council includes Castro, a deputy in the National Assembly of People's Power and daughter of Raul Castro, a member of the Cuban political apparatus, director of the National Center for Sex Education, is therefore part of the strategic leadership of this organizing body. The initiative arose after the United States announced on January 29th of this year that it would impose tariffs on countries supplying fuel to Cuba, a measure later revoked on February 23rd. In this context, and following the capture of Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela, an ally of Havana, the flow of crude oil into the country decreased. However, Cuba was already dragging along a deep energy crisis, obsolete thermoelectric plants, lack of investment, and almost total dependence on imported crude. In other words, the electricity debacle did not originate with the recent pressures from the Trump administration, although these have worsened an already deteriorating situation. According to statements from the organizers, delegations are participating and collection points have been set up in several countries: Canada, United States, Mexico, Chile, Brazil, Colombia. Among those who have publicly expressed support are, in addition to Greta Thunberg, U.S. Democratic Congresswoman Rashid Tlaib, former British Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn, and Colombian Congresswoman Maria Fernanda Carrasco, who has promoted the initiative as a duty of regional solidarity. Greatest irony? Well, Greta Thunberg is demanding that Cuba get more oil. Human Events reported that climate activist Greta Thunberg has called for international oil shipments for Cuba as the country faces nationwide blackouts. In a video message released Monday, Thunberg slammed the United States and urged supporters to organize demonstration and aid efforts in support of Cuba. Her remarks came the same day Cuban officials reported a collapse of the country's electrical grid. Now, she's not worried about supporting what's going on in Cuba as far as getting them electricity by bringing in more oil to them. This from the woman who wants the United States to quit using, oil and natural gas and all the rest. So, their hypocrisy never bothers them, but that's exactly what happened. Speaking of the squad, when I brought up one of the members just a moment ago, is the power behind the squad diminishing? That's the question that was asked by Axios, who said that the left suffered a virtually total collapse in the Illinois Democratic congressional primaries on Tuesday night. Even in races where the IPAC-backed candidates lost. Why it matters? It's a bad sign for the dozens of insurgent Democrats running in congressional races across the country, both in open seats and as primary rivals to older or more established men-oriented incumbents. It's great news for House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, who's most popular among the moderate and mainstream liberal wings of his party. Most of the Democratic House candidates who have refused to commit to supporting Jeffries for leader or speaker are leftist insurgents. I mean, the lady that beat Crockett down there in Texas is a really nut job as well. Take a look at him and take a look at what he believes and what he says, and say that if you're a Democrat, you can vote for him. Well, the Democrats, they've shut down the TSA, and they've tried to shut down the ICE people and all the rest. Well, it's coming out now that the Democrats are admitting the shutdown strategy is to maximize pain on you and I. We're making people hurt. From Town Hall, right now the government is in a partial shutdown and has been for a month. That means TSA employees are not getting paid, and security lines at airports are spilling out into the parking lots as travelers wait hours to get through checkpoints. For Democrats, that pain is the point, and they're hoping that by inflicting more of it on the American people to get their way, and Republicans will cave on defunding DHS and abolishing ICE. We're making people hurt is a hell of a campaign ad for Republicans in the upcoming election. Expect to see it. Create chaos and pain, blame Donald Trump, rinse and repeat. That is the Democratic strategy in a nutshell. And the way that ABC, NBC, CBS, and all the lefty media are reporting on this, a lot of people are going to believe that it's the Republicans and not the Democrats who are bringing all this pain to them. Final story from the Middle East for you today before we get into our 10 o'clock hour with Enrico and hearing what he has to offer and share with us on the air. The Wall Street Journal got the inside scoop from the Mossad on its strategy to break the will of the Iranian regime. The Wall Street Journal reported that the attacks hurt rank and file morale and drove some security forces to begin sleeping in their vehicles, mosques, or other sports facilities, Israel's assessment said. Meanwhile, Israeli intelligence officials began placing calls to individual commanders, threatening them and their families by name if they didn't stand aside in the event of an uprising, that according to people familiar with the matter. The Journal reviewed the contents of one call between a senior Iranian police commander and an agent of the Mossad, Israel's foreign intelligence service. Quote, "Can you hear me?" A Mossad agent can be heard speaking in Farsi. "We know everything about you. You are on our blacklist and we have all the information about you." The commander said in the recording, "I called to warn you in advance that you should stand with your people's side," the Mossad agent said. "And if you will not do that, your destiny will be as your leader. Do you hear me?" And the commander says, "Brother, I swear on the Quran, I'm not your enemy." The commander said, "I'm a dead man already. Just please come help us." It's one thing to know intellectually that your life is at risk. It's another thing to have a conversation on the phone with a member from the Mossad, your executioner. So the Mossad turning up the heat over in Iran. All right, we got to get our final break in, and then we'll do our final segment. I'm excited because Enrico is coming in here in the next hour. We'll get a lot of updates from him about what's happening in the Middle East. I'm Dave Elswick. Thanks for being with us. Stay with us. We got more information to give to you here at The Answer.
101.1 The Answer. Weather.
Well, it looks like the warming trend we were promised has finally arrived. Sunshine today in 80, and then sunshine for Friday through Sunday with highs in the mid to upper 80s. It's going to be beautiful.
When your car is making a strange noise, no matter what it is, you can't just pretend it's not happening.
That's an interesting sound.
It's like your mental health. If you're struggling and feeling overwhelmed, it's important to do something about it. It can be as simple as talking to someone in your community, or just taking a deep, calming breath when you need it. Nice. For mental health resources, check out loveyourmindtoday.org. At loveyourmindtoday.org, you'll find information that may help you get through a tough time. Things like tips for dealing with stress, how to navigate difficulties like financial worries, anger, substance use, and more. You can also find real stories of how people navigated their own mental health challenges. Because once you start to address the problem, you can go so much further. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
The more you listen to your kids, the closer you'll be. So we asked kids, what do you want your parents to hear?
I feel sometimes that I'm not listened to. I would just want you to listen to me more often and evaluate situations with me and lead me towards success.
We're not adults, so just be there and like listen. I just want someone to yap to. And I just feel like I'll be fine like if someone just hears me talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk.
You're doing a really good job. And I don't think I tell you that enough. And I know sometimes we get into it and it's just hard on both of us. But, try to understand me more and I'll try to do the same.
Listening is a form of love. Find resources to help you support your kids and their emotional well-being at sounditouttogether.org. That's sounditouttogether.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Pivotal.
The news never stops, and neither does your schedule. That's why we're here, keeping you up to date with all the biggest stories of the day. We're 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk. The Dave Elswick Show continues now. 101.1 The Answer.
There's been some really interesting information coming out about the 2020 election. You know what the deep state is. You've been hearing about them. We've been talking about Brennan and all those guys, Comey. And we now know that inside the U.S. intelligence community, they sought to conceal evidence of Chinese influence efforts against President Donald Trump during the 2020 election. Analysts saying they didn't want their intel used by that vulgarian in the Oval Office. That is a direct quote from one of the reports. To pursue policies toward China they personally disagreed with. The revelation is found within a January 2021 report written by and never before reported upon comments by an analytic ombudsman, Barry Zuloff, who conducted a review of the spy community's handling of the Russian versus Chinese meddling efforts during the 2020 election. Among his conclusions was that intelligence analysts downplayed China's actions because they had disdain for the Trump administration and did not want to support the policies and priorities of the administration towards China, which they personally disagreed. Just the News reported this week that the U.S. intelligence community has known since early 2020 that group I was talking about in Iran that was like the SS or the Stasi in East Germany, the SS in Nazi Germany, that went out and found Jews and other folks and then put them to death, had also gained access to American voter registration data and used that information to conduct opinion analysis related to the presidential election between Trump and then former Vice President Joe Biden. Technocrats literally hate democracy. Just look at their, how they run their companies and how we're hearing it's that their algorithms are making your kids into addicts on their internet, and they don't give a damn as long as they're getting the clicks that they want. So there's a lot out there. Tulsi Gabbard just the other day started naming names and calling some people traitors, like Brennan, Hillary Clinton, and others for what they did in the election against Hillary Clinton.
We knew that, though.
Yeah,
Just waiting for the evidence.
Nobody wanted to believe that portions of your own government would be working against you, but now it's becoming more and more obvious that is exactly what was going on, and those people that we heard about, what was it, that woman and the guy that were lovers. One was in the FBI and the other was
that was Jack White, wasn't it?
yeah, I don't even
No, it was
what
was her name?
I
know you're talking about. That was when Comey was. Yeah.
It's all now coming out.
It was the dossier.
It takes
the Russian dossier.
It takes a long time.
Michael, what's his name from the? Yeah.
People have to understand that it takes time to dig this stuff out.
But I can just tell you.
You
just have. I predict stuff, Dave, and then they just have to go prove that I'm right.
All right, we're going to take a break. Enrico is here. He's just been on the phone with the general, and we'll talk about what he heard and what he can share with us when we get back on the Dave Elswick Show.
Find us at 1011FM, theanswer.com. Download our apps, stream us 24/7, or watch us at snc.tv. KDXE, Kamek Village, Little Rock.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. The Pentagon chief says the U.S. remains laser focused on what it set out to achieve in the war with Iran. War Secretary Hegseth says the Americans aim to
destroy missiles, launchers, and Iran's defense industrial base so they cannot rebuild, destroy their navy, and Iran never gets a nuclear weapon. Our objectives from day one.
On this 20th day of the war, the Israeli military says it has struck Iranian targets in the Caspian Sea for the very first time. And President Trump is responding to Iran's latest strikes on its Gulf Arab neighbors.
An Israeli attack on Iran's South Pars natural gas field Wednesday prompted the Islamic Republic's president to warn of uncontrollable consequences that could engulf the entire world. And Tehran followed up with strikes on its Persian Gulf neighbors, hitting gas facilities in Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. Earlier, a source told AP the U.S. was informed of Israel's planned strike, but did not take part. On social media, President Trump wrote Israel would not attack South Pars again, but warned if Iran continues striking Qatar's energy infrastructure, the U.S. would retaliate, and in his words, massively blow up the entirety. I'm Ben Thomas.
GOP Senator Markwayne Mullins' nomination to serve as Homeland Security Secretary is headed to the Senate for debate and a vote. The nomination forwarded by the Homeland Security Committee earlier this morning. $3.88 a gallon. That is AAA's national average for gasoline as of this morning, and that's up 4 cents a gallon from yesterday's price. Sell-off on Wall Street this morning. Stocks sharply lower. The Dow is down 336 points for a loss of almost 1%. The Nasdaq off 136, and the S&P trading 35 points in the red. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free, no-risk consultation. 800-292-7885. You have nothing to lose, but everything to gain. 800-292-7875.
Political unrest in Turkey after a key opposition figure is tossed in jail.
Supporters waving opposition banners and Turkish flags gathered in their thousands, chanting messages of support for the detained mayor amid a large police presence. Mr. İmamoğlu, who had been widely viewed as a serious challenger to President Erdogan in the country's next presidential election, is currently on trial, facing numerous charges, including corruption. He denies them all. Mr. Erdogan's government has denied political interference, insisting that Turkey's courts operate independently.
That's a BBC's Tom Bailey. European Union leaders holding a summit in Brussels to tackle growing fallout from the Iran war, rising energy prices, and a stalled loan for Ukraine. The EU leaders meeting today as fighting in the Middle East drives fears over instability in the energy markets. News and analysis, townhall.com. Major League Baseball plans to bring back the World Baseball Classic.
Commissioner Rob Manfred says the league has discussed midseason tournaments after the end of Fox's All-Star Game deal. It runs through 2028. Now it's planning to bring back the World Baseball Classic in 2029 or 2030. All previous 6 WBCs have been played during spring training, and teams sometimes limit players. This year, the tournament set attendance and TV records. Top games drew far bigger audiences than in 2006. Bob Agner reporting.
To no one's surprise, the Federal Reserve is holding its key short-term interest rate right where it is. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell citing an increasingly uncertain outlook for the U.S. economy and inflation given the war with Iran. U.S. national debt has...
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
We just kind of knew from the beginning that we were family.
They showcased a sense of love that I never had before. I mean, he's not only my parent, he's like my best friend.
At the end of the day, it's all been worth it. I wouldn't change a thing about our lives.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. Brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council. We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
When I met both of them, it was like my missing pieces were found. It was just like an instant, these are my kids. If you're considering adopting a teen, just do it. Kids need families. I don't care the age. Everybody deserves a family.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
All right, we're moving into the last hour of the Dave Elswick Show for a Thursday. Tomorrow is Friday. Tomorrow, the high is supposed to be 85 degrees.
Woo-hoo!
And Monday, or take that back, Sunday is supposed to be 91.
Man, I'm so ready.
I'm
I'm
ready.
just going to go singing
I
in
think
the
somebody
hills.
should just come up here and dump a whole bunch of nice white sand in the studio.
Well, I can bring some back next weekend.
Yeah, and just keep. I'll kick off my shoes and in socks and sit here and enjoy.
You want me to bring you a bucket home?
Nah, you don't have to bring. That's all
Enrique, Enrico, I'm sorry. I have to ask, are you a drummer?
I'm not a drummer. I do play a little guitar, though.
Oh, okay, because my sons are both guitarists and drummers, and they do that. And in high school, their teachers would be like, "Can you get them to stop drumming on the desk with their pencils?"
I mean, is this
I see the musician in you.
Is this a new opening song for the show, or was I just never paying attention?
You just weren't paying attention.
That's been like for
That is
12
a
years.
really cool song. I was like, yeah, I love this.
And that, of course, is our version of "Thunderstruck" by AC/DC.
Yeah, no, this is really cool. I love the way it's like Elswick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. It is. It's been that way now.
12, 13 years?
13 years, I guess. I used to open up with Ted Nugent and the Amboy Dukes doing "Journey to the Center of Your Mind."
All right.
And then I said it was time to make a change because it had been 17 years. And I asked my listeners what song would they like me to use, and that's the one they wanted me to use. And it's not 17 years, and it won't get to be 17 years because I'll be retiring by then. But the key is that if I had to figure out another song, I think I might put put a little sugar on me.
Pour some sugar on me?
Yeah, do that. That might,
Mine was Rob Zombie. Drop it, Buster.
yeah, that's a good one.
Yep.
Rod Zombie's a good person to use.
And then I used Joan Jett. I don't give it about my reputation. Remember?
Oh yeah,
Remember that
Bad
one?
Reputation.
Yeah, that was my other one.
Another
Yep.
great song that she covered. She's a. Sometime I'll tell you about Joan off air.
Russ is the one that gave me that.
And
He was like, "Why don't you use this one?"
Yeah,
I was like, "Oh yeah, this is awesome."
yeah. She's. I did a show with her,
I love Joan Jett.
and she got really animated during it, and she was saying every record company she went to turned her down.
Was that after the Runaways?
Yes, and they wouldn't touch her, and so Kenny Laguna, who wrote all the bubblegum music in the 70s, 1, 2, 3, Red Light, and all of that, the Archie songs and all that, he took his money and soaked her career with it, and started Blackheart Records.
Nice.
And pressed the album of, with I Love Rock and Roll and all the rest on it.
Who doesn't know that song?
And we was talking to her, and I said, "Well, what would you tell him?" And she got really, really animated, and it says, "I told him, I know I'm a girl, but I can rock and roll. I can," And she's just going on, and we used that as the opening of the show.
Nice.
It was great. I mean, it was really the perfect way to open up the show with her. Do you know she's in her 60s now?
Oh yeah, I saw her a couple of years ago, back in, I guess it was 2019 when she and Hart were here.
That blows my mind.
Still blew me away though. Like she's still like on point.
Oh yeah.
On stage, vocals, everything.
Well, you know
Nancy Wilson too, like all of them.
You know who one of her big time heroes is? Susie Quatro. Susie Quatro is still alive. She lives in England.
Is she really?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
She's in her 70s now. And man, if I ever win the lottery, I promise everybody I'll have the ultimate
concert. And Dave's gonna throw a badge.
I'll bring
I'll
Joan
plan it for you,
Susie
Dave. Let's
and
go.
all the rest of them.
Let's go buy that lottery ticket this
Great
weekend.
time. Yeah. Well, I do. I buy lottery tickets almost every weekend. Yeah.
I do randomly. That's why I never win, because you don't win if you don't play all the time.
Yeah, kind of.
I will say though, Elswick is a fantastic last name. I mean, it
Isn't
rolls
it?
off your tongue. Well, in the military, especially in Israel, we all, they call us by our last name, right? So for me, it was like Ravenna. For you, Elswick, and it really rolls well, right? It sounds good. So when I heard it, I was like, I guess we always talk, right until the second we have to put the
we're
headphones
usually
on.
talking over over the opening, but I've been lucky in my career. Some of the people that I've met and interviewed. My favorite interviews, I'm always asked, who did you like to interview the most? I can tell you, it was the Commander-in-Chief, Ronald Reagan.
Really? I bet that was a good interview.
I interviewed him in the Oval Office, and I'm dressed out in my dress blues, of course, for the Air Force. And I'll never forget when I walked in, and he was sitting behind the desk, and he stood up and he said, "Sergeant Elswick, how you doing?" He says, "You want a jelly bean?" First time I had jelly beans.
I'm surprised you didn't say no, but would you like an M&M?
I will say though, you have this incredible, call it skill, talent, blessing, where you are so able to build rapport with anyone so quickly. The first time I was on the show, I didn't know what to expect. I was new to Arkansas.
Right.
I had no idea what to expect. And Dave and I immediately vibed, immediately hit it off. And it made me feel right at home. And obviously, I'm super grateful for that because, we've been able to develop this incredible relationship. But when I listen to other shows with other guests, I go, man, this is what Dave does.
Because he's like, I mean, it's kind of like me. We don't think about, like, I know Dave, I've known him for 13 years. I literally sent you that video, that audio last night of me, you, and Angie when Bruce Westerman was first running for Congress.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yep.
And we were talking with that. I remember that. I remember the handout had the McDonald's thing. Remember the handout that had the McDonald's, and Dennis Milligan had been in that day too. And that was when everyone was getting started. But we don't look at people like, oh, you're this we want to ask the questions. We
Right.
want to get people the
Well,
information to people.
I will ask the questions, but you do not have to be rude.
No,
It's not necessary
no.
to be rude. I mean, that's just not necessary.
And like what when
And-
Colt was on, Colt Shelby and Brian Norris was on, you just sat back and you were like, they were like, Dave, were you gonna say anything? And Dave was like, I'm just letting
You're
y'all
the ones
talk
that are
because
talking. You're the candidate.
yeah, I'm just letting y'all talk.
You just keep on talking.
It's so important though, humanizing that aspect, right? Like, I mean, even me, when I look at the people that I want to learn from and I want to be more like, it's, you have to remember that they're just people, right?
Yeah.
They're the people and they have the same challenges all of us have. And
I think even the people who are on the other side of the ledger, as far as politics with me, understand that I'm fair.
Right.
I mean, I had Susan McDougal on. You remember when she came in. And I got along with her fine, just talking to her and cutting up with her and stuff. But I asked the tough questions.
And that's not being unfair. And it's not being rude. You know, and some people that don't like the tough questions will say that that's just rude. And he asked me about this issue that's going.
Yeah.
That's not being rude. Let's get to the heart of this.
Yeah.
You know, explain your side of it.
I mean, when Kim Hammer was in, I asked him, so why are you like so against paper ballots? You know, because that's the big thing that everybody talks about when you talk about Kim. And I thought he gave us a straight answer. You know, I didn't agree with his logic, but it was everybody needed to hear what he thought.
Right.
As far as that's
and people have to remember a couple of things, I think, when I talk to anyone, right? People that are completely different than me, people that are, you know, at the end of the day, always assume positive intent, right? Like people don't mean to hurt you.
See,
or
I'm
offend
the
you.
pessimist there. I'm always assuming the negative. You have to prove me that you're the positive. I don't know why I'm like that, but that's just.
I'm exactly the opposite. I always assume positive intent. I always assume it. And that's just how I lead every conversation. But I also focus on, I never want to win the argument. Like I don't want to, my mom, you know, may she rest in peace. One of the things she taught me in life is like, look, you have to remember, people are what matters most. People, their stories, right? Like your commonalities, your shared values, all of that. Now, if you go into any conversation trying to win the argument, trying to just show that you're right, you might succeed, right? You might win the argument, but you'll definitely lose the person.
Right.
Definitely lose the person. So my goal is never to win the argument. It's not that I don't want to show that I know more than you.
Right.
I want to create a relationship with you. I want to have this healthy back and forth, and really, I want to win the person, not the argument.
Yeah. Well, yeah. My goal on the show is very simple: is to present facts to you, and then have you say to me, "Well, facts don't matter." And then I can look at them and say, I know, I've been listening to you all hour.
Right. But you know, I'm more of I've always considered myself more of an investigative journalist type. So my point isn't to win either. It's to get to the bottom of the story, to get the truth out, to find.
And there's not a lot of those kind of people left now. Investigative.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, yeah, because everyone's the advertorial kind of journalism where they're just advocating for the person that they want. And I just, if you're bad, I don't want to surround yourself.
Well, that's not really.
I don't want to surround myself with bad people. And I sure don't want you dictating my life to me.
That is
Absolutely.
not.
Right.
And, you know, that type of journalism is not journalism.
Advocacy. Yeah. No, it's not.
You're not supposed to take a side.
Right.
You know, my teachers told me that.
You're supposed to present the story. And there may be more than just two sides to the story. Then you got to maybe talk to your editor about doing a series on something. But you don't take a reporter and sit and say, go out and find some poor people and let's wrap a story around how this is going to, reflect on them and hurt their lives. And let's prove that to our listeners. That's the way it is now.
Yeah, that's the way I used to when I worked at TV stations like in Jonesboro, and I just and other places. I just didn't like the way they dictated to me what kind of angle or what kind of story. No, you can't talk about that. Why? We're in the news. We're supposed to bring the news.
Yeah.
And you're telling me I have to protect somebody? I didn't like that. So that's why I'd rather be independent than.
That's why I left the news and went into talk, is because they kept spiking my stories. I mean, that's
when they chop them up and put half of them, leave half of it on the ground like they do.
I was talking to John Deering just the other day, and I said, that's why I left the news, John. I left the news because my editor would call me in and say, Dave, what's the story you're working on? And I would, because you had to pitch your stories. And I would tell them, our listeners would really like that, but I don't want you to do this.
Right.
That's just the way it was. So as long as they were going to keep it that way, I went the other way and stayed in radio and became a commentator, so to speak.
Yeah, people
about the news.
People don't realize I went to school to be a reporter. Like my dad was in radio. I didn't want to be in radio. And then you drug me back in, Dave.
Yeah.
Again and twice now.
Yeah.
This is the second time.
A very, very wise decision.
By your tongue.
Only Dave could.
By your tongue.
I was living the beach life.
I'm just to be honest with people. There's a lot of people that show up on my show or working in a nonprofit group or whatever that we gave their exposure to them here on my show. Nick Horton and a lot of different people.
Us, I mean, the Jewish Federation of Arkansas.
Yeah,
you gave us, and you still do give us a platform.
You got a microphone available anytime. If you need to talk, you just call me. All right, so let's say you talked to a general. What were you talking about?
So he actually called me this morning asking me about something that's happening on our side of defense here. But he was like, and I asked him, hey. I mean, I can't really say his name. I can't say anything like that, but he's definitely in the midst of everything in Israel. He's in the north. I said, hey, how long do you think this is going to continue for? Because my family, my friends, everyone in Israel its situation is pretty bad at this point, right? I mean, we just had, some tragedies happen because of the missiles hitting Israel. And the question is that every Israeli is asking right now, like, okay, how quickly can we get this over with?
And
right?
get back to normal.
Right.
Yeah,
and when you think about it, and then we thought, well, when really was the last time things were normal, right? Because there was COVID. Israel is a really small country, right? I think, Val, some people don't, I guess most people in America don't realize how small Israel is. It's about the size of New Jersey, maybe smaller.
Yeah, it's smaller than Rhode Island.
Right. Yeah. So it's, when you're thinking about, 9, close to 10 million people now in that small area that are now having to basically live in bomb shelters, and they get it. Look, I mean, they understand the need for this. Like, they're all on board. They're just saying, like, hey, how fast can we get this over with? And he was saying, look, the north is looking pretty bad right now because the Lebanese military, they just can't overthrow Hezbollah right now. So it's going to take a while, at least a few more weeks, in his opinion. So,
I mean, we're dealing with $2 billion that our presidents over the years have given to Iran. So we know that money was funneled to Hamas, I'm sure.
Yeah. And then he's asking me, like, Enrico, what's going on with everyone on your side over there in America? Are people not realizing how important this war is? And then I said, well, I guess some of them don't. And this is kind of what I wanted to talk to you all about today. Like, why do you think people here are so against it? I mean, you see, what's his name? The Hollywood actor. I mean, I don't really watch the Oscars. I mean, it's just a bunch of BS in my opinion. But what's his name?
Jimmy Kimmel?
No, the actor that stood up and said Javier something, maybe his name is
Bordeaux.
So he basically stood up and said no to that war and free Palestine, the whole thing, and nobody even cared about it at that point, which is, I guess, a good sign. But when you think about these people not realizing that Iran is bad news. Hey, y'all, Iran is bad news. Even if let's say they don't
Even if you're an Arab state.
Even if it's not Israel, they're bad news.
Like they're just bad news. And even if they don't have nukes, they are the ones running all those proxy terror organizations all across the world. I mean, when people don't understand that, it has nothing to do with just Israel. It's the Western world. Yeah. Like that is how that works. And talking to people in Israel on the ground that experience it day in, day out is different, because they're not over here on our side looking at things from the outside. They're looking at everything from the inside. And that is a difficult situation to even explain to an Israeli.
Well, let's talk about that when we come back. We got to get a break in. Let's do that. It is 24 after 10, so I'm a little bit late on the break, but let's do it, and then we'll come back and talk more here on the Dave Elswick Show.
Right now, hi, it's Chris Stigall. You know, so many opinions around Israel, emotions. I can understand why it feels hard to know where to start. I like to start with the Bible. Scripture tells us, I will bless those who bless you. And that's not just a comforting promise, it's a clear calling from God. So today, with anti-Semitism on the rise, that calling is more urgent than ever. At a time when Jewish communities are experiencing more hostility, more threats, and more violence than ever, Christians have a powerful opportunity to respond with God's love, to say, you're not alone. When Christians choose to bless Israel, we're not entering into some political issue. We're honoring the root of our faith and standing against hatred. Supporting Israel is more than a belief. It's a biblical mandate. And by partnering with the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews, you can push back against the darkness and be a light to God's people. Learn how you can bless Israel at ifcj.org. Live the word. Answer the call. ifcj.org.
You served behind the desk.
You served in combat.
You did 4 years and got out.
You were drafted.
You gave 20 years.
You gave exactly what your country needed.
And so did you.
When you raised your hand and swore an oath to your country, when you put your name on a dotted line, you became part of only 1% of Americans who did the same. You are a veteran.
You are a veteran.
You are a veteran. Because no matter when, where, or how you served, you made a sacrifice for your country, and you deserve support.
If you're struggling with life after service, don't wait. Reach out.
Reach out to a loved one, to a fellow veteran, to VA.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
When your car is making a strange noise, no matter what it is, you can't just pretend it's not happening.
That's an interesting sound.
It's like your mental health. If you're struggling and feeling overwhelmed, it's important to do something about it. It can be as simple as talking to someone in your community, or just taking a deep, calming breath when you need it. Nice. For mental health resources, check out loveyourmindtoday.org. At loveyourmindtoday.org, you'll find information that may help you get through a tough time. Things like tips for dealing with stress, how to navigate difficulties like financial worries, anger, substance use, and more. You can also find real stories of how people navigated their own mental health challenges. Because once you start to address the problem, you can go so much further. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
You can watch the show right now. The Dave Elswick Show is streaming live on Facebook. This is 101.1 The Answer.
So I'm looking over at Enrico. He's trying to figure out why in heaven's name did you leave Florida?
Me too.
Wait, so you lived in
It's a
Florida?
long story, Enrico.
Wow. Well, we definitely have that in common because I lived in Florida as well. Right?
Where did you live at?
Panama City Beach.
Oh, I lived in Perdido Key.
Where I hang
Phenomenal.
out at for 2 weeks in
Yep.
September. Yeah.
Love it.
That was
The Sandpiper Inn. That was one of my favorite places to take my kids when I was.
I made a joke about Panama City Beach, the beaches over there, just the other day when was talking about it at Daytona Beach. They had the shootings.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and in Florida, concealed carry, they've had concealed carry forever.
But now they have open carry.
And so, well, I was just asking, you know, where are the women with those really dinky, you know, bikinis? Where are they carrying at?
Yeah.
You know, that you couldn't see. I guess they got miniaturized guns now in Florida. I don't
They're gonna
know.
start having big hair, so they can stick it in their hair.
That's Texas. Texas is at home with big hair.
Right.
I'm telling you.
The 80s hair still.
Yeah. Oh my God.
80s are back.
Unbelievable.
80s are
Unbelievable.
back.
Unbelievable. All right. So let's go back to what you were talking about and about people not understanding. Well, I got time to give you the question again. You'll give me the answer after we come back for the news, which is next. And that is, when you sit down and talk to people about what's going down over in Israel, why is it so hard for them to understand that if you got 9 or 10 million people and you're in an area smaller than Rhode Island, that there's no place to run? You know, that, you know, there's a reason why they say from the river to the sea, the supporters of Palestine, because that's literally saying they want to kill all Jews.
Right. Most of them don't even know which river, which sea.
Yeah.
Like you ask them those questions, like pointed at a map.
We're going to talk about it after we get the news.
So that's our news. I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. Israel remains in Iran's crosshairs with multiple missiles fired at the Jewish state overnight. At least 3 deaths reported. Iran also continues targeting its Gulf Arab neighbors. War Secretary Hegseth says Operation Epic Fury is going according to plan. He says it is not a forever war. Following an occasionally contentious confirmation hearing yesterday, the Senate Homeland Security Committee today voted to send Senator Markwayne Mullins' Homeland Security Secretary nomination to the full Senate. And committee chair, Republican Rand Paul, is already saying he is a no vote on the nominee. AAA's national average for a gallon of gas is up 4 cents from yesterday. $3.88 a gallon is the national average as of this morning. And on Wall Street, the Dow down 353 points. More details, srnnews.com.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free, no-risk consultation. 800-292-7875. 800-292-7875. You have nothing to lose, but everything to gain. 800-292-7875.
Don't miss out on the latest news. Operation Epic Fury is here, and we're giving you the inside information. Make sure you're listening for all the details on Operation Epic Fury, right here on 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk. What if you could take 101.1 The Answer with you everywhere? You can. Download the 101.1 The Answer app and stay connected to the voices you trust, live and on demand. Wake up with Dave Elswick. Stay sharp with Doc Washburn. And hear from national voices like Chris DeGaulle, Scott Jennings, Hugh Hewitt, Larry Elder, and Mike Gallagher. Breaking news, bold opinions, local insight, national perspective, all in one place, all in your pocket. At work, in the car, on the go. If it matters to Arkansas and America, you'll hear it on 101.1 The Answer. Plus, stream us live anywhere. Catch up on podcasts and never miss a moment. Search 101.1 The Answer in your app store and download it today. 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk.
Let's be honest. The National Symphony may not be in his future, but he wanted to try violin. So you said yes because you love him. And if you love him that much, love him enough to make sure he's buckled up and in the back seat. Find out more about keeping your kids safe in your vehicle at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Show him you love him. Keep him safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. It's 4 a.m., Monday, and you're literally sucking baby snot through a tube because she's congested. Man, that's love. And if you love her that much, love her enough to make sure she's buckled in the right car seat. To make sure your child's in the right seat for their age and size, visit nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Show them you love them. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Concerned about market risk? I'm Ference Toth, host of the Your Personal Bank Show. The S&P 500 valuations are higher than at any time ever recorded in stock market history. This includes 1929 and 1999. Annuities and Your Personal Bank offer unlimited upside with no downside risk. Tune in to the Your Personal Bank Show Saturdays at 1 p.m. or contact Ference at yourpersonalbank.com. The Your Personal Bank Show Saturdays at 1 p.m. on 101.1 The Answer.
101.1 The Answer. Weather.
Well, it looks like the warming trend we were promised has finally arrived. Sunshine today at 80, and then sunshine for Friday through Sunday with highs in the mid to upper 80s. It's going to be beautiful.
Dave Elswick is the conservative voice of Arkansas, and he's back. 101.1 The Answer.
All right, 10:35 here on the Dave Elswick Show. Enrico is here with us, and he's Jewish. He's helping out the Jewish community here in Arkansas. That's what he's doing. And he's got people back in Israel that are living through the war that's going on right now. And, it's not easy for the people in Israel. They're in bomb shelters most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
I heard the other day that they, in the north, that they just let them come out for a couple hours and then they sent them right back down again.
Mm-hmm.
Because Hezbollah was dumping missiles on top of them.
Yeah. Yeah, it is an unfortunate reality, I think. One that Israelis are, again, unfortunately, used to, right? They're used to it. And they understand the need for it. So the Israelis also understand, we were just talking about, how many people in the U.S. really serve in the armed forces, right? And you were telling me
1%.
1%. So when we're having conversations about military strategy, war, right, violence, whatever that may be, there really aren't that many people in the U.S. that understand not just conceptually, but also practically what those things mean.
Yeah, because they've never been in the military. You're
right.
Correct.
And even within that 1%, a lot of them are in the behind the scenes, right? A lot of them serve right here on U.S. soil. They might be
support personnel.
Support personnel, exactly. So when you talk to the people that are experiencing it on the ground, it's different. And in Israel, every civilian is a frontline warrior.
Yeah, whether you're wearing a uniform or not.
Right, because, well, first of all, at some point, you either wore a uniform or you will wear a uniform.
Right.
Because it is
mandatory.
3, actually, for men.
It's 3. 3 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mandatory 3 years for men, 2 years for women, unless women want to serve in a combat position. So if there is total equality there in the IDF. So if a woman wants to serve in a combat position, she serves for 3 years, just like any men would. No discounts there.
Yeah, gotcha.
No discounts. But it also goes to show the burden of leadership, right? Like people often want to get to these leadership positions because they want to have the authority, the power, they want to feel important, but then they forget what comes with it, right? And what I keep saying is, guys, with every opportunity comes a responsibility. And being a leader means having to make a lot of really tough decisions. It means having tough conversations. It means having to swallow your pride a lot of times for the better, for the bigger picture, for the cause. You say, I'm here to help the Jewish people in Arkansas, and I am. Obviously, I am. I'm the head of the Jewish Federation, but I'm also an American, and I think I would like to believe that I'm also here to just better all Americans, right? To help Americans in general, right? Make our lives better. As Jewish, as Christian, as whatever, right? Like, it really doesn't matter to me. I see it as we all have that one overarching identity, which is we're Americans, right? So it's and that is an interesting concept, because I don't know how to explain. I mean, and I do it, and I keep navigating these difficult conversations when I talk to Americans that really don't understand what it's like growing up in the Middle East. You don't have the right lens to view this conflict from. You're viewing it from Western lens. You're looking at it from almost like the wrong set of binoculars, right? When you're from there, and Israelis have that unique approach to say, hey, we look up to America as our big sister. We are Westerners. We want to be more Western, right? But then again, we live in the Middle East, right? So we don't have Western privileges. We don't have the ability to act holier than thou when our enemy is both within us, outside us, on our borders. Like you said, people that, and you said it right before we broke for the news, from the river to the sea, right? I can't tell you how many people asked, which river and which sea?
Is that the Mississippi?
Right. Is that the Arkansas River we're talking about? Like, what are we talking about? Right, like River Market in Little Rock. Like it's
the Jordan River.
It's people do not understand that area is extremely. When we take missions to Israel, I like taking them to Eilat, to the border with Egypt, so they can see the Red Sea. And when people think about the Red Sea in that sense, they think it's they imagine something huge, right? But when I take them to Eilat and I show them, look, you're touching the Red Sea. You're splashing your feet in the water.
Yeah.
On your left is Jordan. You can see it. You see these mountains right in front of you? They're not in the far distance. They're right here.
Yeah.
See those mountains? That's Jordan. On your right, you see these mountains right here? Right next to you?
That's Egypt.
That's Egypt. Look behind you. You see behind you, and you're standing in Israel, basically.
Right.
So that is how small that area is. But that is also why it's extremely difficult to defend it, protect it. If you look at every major Israeli war, right? And even still, we want to talk about the values behind putting troops on the ground, right? Let's take an example. Let's take a case study from Israel. In 1967, when we recaptured Jerusalem, right? A lot of Israelis will tell you, well, we didn't really. Not today, not to me, because I want to be able to pray where the temple was, on Temple Mount. But there is a mosque on top of it right now, right? But some people would say, but I thought we recaptured it, right? So why is it not ours? Why is the Waqf, the Palestinian police, in charge of it, right? We don't go up there. Jews can't go up to Temple Mount at every given moment. They have specific hours, specific times, and we have to adhere to the Palestinian police authority, to their rules, right? So when people say the Western Wall, right? It was a supporting wall. It wasn't even significant. It's just a wall that survived, and that's what Jews pray for every day. They go to the Western Wall, which again was a supporting wall that had no significant meaning prior to that. So even though we recaptured it, what was the value behind it, right? We respect Islam. We respect the fact that there is a holy mosque on top of it now, and we're not going to destroy it. Right. Same with the Christian holy sites. Take the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, the Church of the Annunciation, so forth. Israel is not the governing authority over those. It's the Christian leadership around the world. Israel will not touch the Church of the Holy Sepulchre without specific either authorization request from, the Pope, Christian leadership worldwide. And that is something to remember, because I don't think people around the world understand that. That is the values that Israel and Israelis have and hold. That those are the values that Israelis hold dear. Now, when you look at putting troops on the ground, these are the same types of values. We value human life. So the idea behind not just carpet bombing anywhere, right, is we want to do everything in our power to minimize casualties, to save human lives, right? That's the idea behind putting troops on the ground. So you can be more precise, more surgical about how you operate. But it also means it's going to take a while longer. It means that now you're going to have people complain no matter what you do, right? People are going to complain that it's taken too long, right?
Yeah.
People are going to take that if you carpet bomb just to be quicker about it, then people are going to complain about that.
They're going to complain about the collateral damage.
Right. No matter what you do, they're going to complain. So the idea is, what are we going to do as a nation? What are we going to do as a people? What are we going to do as Western societies? We're probably going to do everything in our power to save human lives, because we value human lives, right? And last time I was here on the show last week, I said, I quoted Golda Meir, right? The day that the Palestinians love their children more than they hate us, we have a chance for peace, right?
Uh-huh.
And it's the same. It's the same with, post-October 7th, the operation in Gaza. The reason why it took so long is because it's one of the most densely populated places on Earth. And the IDF is going house to house clearing, right? That's going to take a while, because all of those houses are booby-trapped, and all of those roads are, they jump from terror tunnels. And when you understand that the network of terror tunnels that Hamas was able to build under Gaza is bigger than the size of the New York subway system, you realize that that's going to take years to uncover.
Yeah, and those are not just little small tunnels. Those are tunnels that you can put two very big diesel trucks in them and drive them side by side.
Right. These are, a lot of them are very well constructed.
Yeah.
And it makes sense when you think about all the money they were given. You wonder where it went, right? It definitely did not go to education and economy. But that is the value and the values that the U.S. and Israel share. And we share a lot more than that, right? We share ideas, we share technologies, we share all of those things. And there's another misconception, the misunderstanding that I think most Americans don't understand. The U.S. does not give Israel billions of dollars just for the kicks and giggles.
Yeah.
They give us money so we can purchase American military equipment, right? All of that money is going right back into the U.S. Economy and GDP. And that way, it secures and strengthens the relationship between Israel and the U.S. And Israel also shares a lot of intelligence. There's intelligence sharing. There is technology sharing. All of it, right? I mean, we do a lot of things together. Now, that is also why we're able to execute operations that seem impossible, right? Look at the beeper operation in Lebanon. Look at all those. I mean, you look at Israel's Mossad and their special ops
I have a lot of
guys,
respect for the Mossad.
which, by the way, and you would absolutely love this, we're putting together with Agape Church Night to Honor Israel.
Right.
And one of our speakers, and you would like this, is going to be Gadi Ilan. He was one of the special ops guys on the Entebbe raid.
Oh, really? And
Yeah.
Idi Amin, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
He has a picture with Idi Amin's Mercedes and all that. It is, when I had the honor to meet him, I was starstruck, really. Like I don't really get starstruck by celebrities, Hollywood, all that stuff, but I do when I meet a hero. When I meet someone that, and Val, I don't know if you knew this, but like the Entebbe raid, that operation is studied at West Point, American Officers School. Like they dissect that operation because they're saying, man, only the Israelis can pull something like this off, right? So he's going to be a guest speaker, and he's coming here to Little Rock. Probably in
What
June.
day is he coming in?
We don't have and once we have an actual date, I will share that with you, and hopefully I'll probably come back on the show before. But it's going to be one of the Sundays in June, Sunday evenings in June.
That's always a fun time.
Yeah.
I've been to several of them, spoken at one of them.
And I would love to introduce you to him personally.
Oh yeah, I'd like to get him on the show.
Absolutely.
I know what he can and can't talk about. I'd have no problem with that. But I talked to him about Entebbe. That was an incredible operation. I mean, absolutely incredible operation.
Yeah, and we're going to get the chance to talk to one of the special ops guys that carried it.
Man, that would give me 2 big feathers in my cap. I had a guy
You'd go home with a smile on your face.
Yeah, I would. I mean, I'm talking about, I had a Mossad agent on that took Gideon's sword and took care of Black September, and then to have somebody on that was in the Entebbe raid. The only big one that I could never get Moshe Dayan. I tried several times, I could never get him on.
Iconic.
Yeah, well, he's, when you think of Israel, there's certain people you think of. Go to Meir is one you think of, and then Moshe Dayan, Begin, you think about him too. I mean, he's big as far as
Sharon, yeah. It's it's incredible what type of leadership comes out of necessity, right? Because Israel is fighting for its survival, right? And the fact, really, when you look at the history of the Jewish people, it is the only way to explain the existence of the Jews today is divine intervention. We are truly God's people because everything was against us, right? Every turn, every corner.
Still that way,
right? When you look at the history of the Jewish people, the fact that there has always been Jewish presence in our ancestral homeland, in that land, and the fact that today we finally have our sovereignty and self-determination, self-governance. I mean, seriously, Israel is the greatest story of decolonization, of people going back to their home. People going back.
That doesn't happen. That does not happen.
Right.
Well, why don't you think about that? The Jewish people were spread out across all of Europe, and they all came back. Well, I don't want to say all of them came back, but a majority of them came back to where they started.
Right.
That's not an easy thing to do in any way, shape, or form.
And they did it with such... And again, I know it wasn't easy, and I know we had to fight a lot of wars that were forced upon us, but it's when you think of Israel and how gracefully it did it, and humbly and gracefully, again, in the Middle East, that entire region, Israel, the Jewish state, the home of the Jewish people, is the only country where the Christian community, the Christian population is significantly higher and growing. The Muslim population is growing, right? So when you think about equal rights, when you think about equal opportunity, when you think about coexistence, when you think about really embracing your neighbor, and at some point, once he's able to do it, I'll have, if you want, here on the show, Lieutenant Colonel Eyal Dror, commander of Operation Good Neighbor in Syria, right? For 2 years, Val, for 2 years, the IDF carried out one of the most secretive humanitarian operations under fire, rescuing Syrian civilians from Syrian civil war, for 2 years.
Yeah, we're talking Aleppo and that area now.
Right. And when you think about why would Israel do that, right? Why? We don't have to do that, right? But that's just who we are. Those are our values. It doesn't matter that we don't see eye to eye, that we disagree, that we're technically on paper we're enemies. We're human. We're people. And if you need our help, we're the first ones to help you. Turkey, we have terrible relationships with Turkey right now. When they had the earthquake, Israel was first on the scene to go help them, right? And that is what I want people to understand. Technically speaking, even this war with Iran right now, technically Israel could have said, hey, we're good. Like, the last operation we had there was pretty great, significant. We took out a bunch of their nuclear capabilities. But why is it fighting this war? To save Iranians. Because we want to see Iran go back to pre-regime, pre-79. That's what we want. We want to have a relationship with the Iranian people that deserve their freedom.
All right. I'm going to have to ask you to hold your thoughts for a moment. We're going to take our final break and we'll come back. And I want to talk about an island off the coast of Iran and how important it is to the Iranian people here on the Dave Elswick Show. It's about 6 minutes to 11 here right now on 101.1.
This is Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. The United States and Israel are winning this battle with the Islamic Republic of Iran decisively. Our Gulf allies are standing strong. The cost has already been high, with at least the U.S. and IDF forces paying the ultimate price. But of course, some hard left partisans hate the prospect of either President Donald Trump or the United States as a whole winning an important, indeed a crucial battle. The left in America refuses to come to grips with how evil the Iranian regime is and for how long it has been so. The collapse of moral clarity among American elites on the left is complete. Democrats are defeatist, appeasers, anti-Semitic in some cases, or simply deranged by their hatred of President Trump. You keep speaking up too. We want to hear you say all these crazy things. History will record your position. The Republican Party should boldly proclaim that, even after 250 years, our country still knows what's right from wrong and will defend the right. I'm Hugh Hewitt.
This is 101.1, The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk. Start your day with Dave Elswick in the morning, breaking down the stories shaping Arkansas and the nation and hearing what you have to say. Then in the afternoon, join Doc Washburn as he takes on the biggest headlines, asks the tough questions, and opens the phones for real conversation. Because on 101.1, The Answer, talk radio means your voice matters. Call in, sound off, be a part of the discussion at 501-401-1011. Plus, hear from some of the biggest names in talk radio. CNN Scott Jennings, Mike Gallagher, Larry Elder, bringing you smart analysis, strong opinions, and the debate everyone's talking about. Local voices, national perspective, and your chance to be heard. 501-401-1011. 101.1, The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk.
When your car is making a strange noise, no matter what it is, you can't just pretend it's not happening.
That's an interesting sound.
It's like your mental health. If you're struggling and feeling overwhelmed, it's important to do something about it. It can be as simple as talking to someone in your community, or just taking a deep, calming breath when you need it. Nice. For mental health resources, check out loveyourmindtoday.org. At loveyourmindtoday.org, you'll find information that may help you get through a tough time. Things like tips for dealing with stress, how to navigate difficulties like financial worries, anger, substance use, and more. You can also find real stories of how people navigated their own mental health challenges. Because once you start to address the problem, you can go so much further. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
Now, back to the Dave Elswick Show. 101.1, The Answer.
So if you've been following things over in Iran here over the last few weeks, there's an island that you're hearing. Is it Karg? Is that how they pronounce it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and what it is it's an island where I guess they unload most of the petroleum into the ships that the Iranians send out. And we've talked about how big those ships are and how long it takes over 2 days to fill one of those vessels up. And it's not, if you've never seen one, you don't know how big those ships are. They are huge.
Yeah.
I
It's
mean,
no joke. They're big. vessel. Yeah.
Okay, so they kind of come through the Strait of Hormuz, which brings them along the coastline of Iran and etc. That is a highly strategic area, the Strait of Hormuz. It's where the shipping moves through. We're leaving a little bit of oil get through right now, but that's up to the Iranians right now because they kind of control it, right?
Well, yeah, when you think about it, the Iranians, there were really two things that we put the focus on, right? When you think about it, it is uranium, obviously you have their nuclear capabilities that were absolutely at top of people's mind because we knew that we can't allow that.
Right.
The Iranian regime is evil on levels that the Western world just cannot understand. Take the most evil thing you can think about and multiply that by, and then some, right? But then you also have oil, right? I just said that like a true Southerner, huh? Val, I said it like my in-laws say it, from Alabama.
You've been here too long.
It's
you say tornado too?
Tornado. Usually I would say oil, right? I would pronounce the oil, right?
Yeah.
But now it's like,
it happens. It happens.
And I do say all a lot. But that started when I got to Arkansas. I came to Arkansas and I started saying y'all all the time. Hey, y'all. Okay. But yeah, so all, right? And that is something we have to pay attention to, and we have to understand the strategic reasoning for that.
All right. We'll pick it up next week. We'll have Enrico back on, and we'll talk about that island because I think it's going to play a big role here in the next week in the Middle East. We're out of time. I got to get out of the way. Let's get to the news. I'll see you on the radio at 7 a.m. tomorrow.
This is the Dave Elswick Show. Find him on Twitter and on Facebook at Dave Elswick Show. Dave Elswick Show.
Find us at 1011FM, theanswer.com. Download our app, stream us 24/7, or watch us.
The Department of Homeland Security advanced out of committee today.
The roughly 3-minute meeting was a whirlwind process after a testy hearing one day prior, in which Chair Rand Paul repeatedly pressed Mullen on past comments, referring to the chair as a snake.